The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. The famous 2.5-mile rectangle in Speedway, Indiana, has been a staple in racing history since 1909. As the sole home of the Indy 500 and no other form of motorsports until 1994 when NASCAR took here, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is still the most famed track in the world. But today, and amongst the last few years in stock car history, we've been racing on the twists and turns in the infield. The 100% Cup Series will take their turns here and see what we can do on the Indy Road Course here for race number 24 out of 36 here as we come closer and closer to the beginning of the playoffs, the Brick Breaker 200. Of course, giving you the calls here tonight going to be myself, Corey Silva, in the booth and in the production truck, and I got Andre Grunbush here and Jeffrey Souza to give us the calls here for, I believe it to be 82 laps here around the Indy Road Course, guys. A track that in the real world is a calamity, and here in the virtual world, probably going to turn into a race of who can beat the Aussies.
Yeah, the Aussies have definitely been the talking point of the season, not just at the road courses, but even at the ovals they've been out here kicking some butt. But, somebody might know something about what it's going to take to beat them here tonight. Jeff has his lap around the track to show the viewers exactly what it's going to look like out the windshield of these next-gen cars.
Here we are at Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course this weekend. Alex Van de Sent behind the wheel has been really strong at these road courses. He's going to dive it down to the turn number one here. Short shift a little bit. Going to wait on it. Make sure you get that RPM match. You don't spin those tires. That short turn right there. Then another sweeping corner right here. It's easy to go off track and lose traction. As you see right there, he had to put a little bit of steering to the left to it. Going to go through the kink right up here. There we go. 2 turns. You can go over that turtle if you want to, but it's going to be a little bit sketchy for some. Down this straightaway under the bridge into another pretty hard left-hander. Wait to downshift there. Don't want to spin those rear tires. And then another snaking section of the racetrack. A right-hander right there. Another left-hander. And another right-hander right here. And we are going to rejoin the oval track in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Catch a little bit of curve right there. And let it arc all the way up to the outside wall. Then back into the brakes hard for this right-hander. And then 2 more turns left. A left-hander right here. Grab a little bit of curb to help yourself around it. And then this right-hander right here is going to get very slick as the race moves on. As you see right here, he's going to wait on that throttle and come back up on the front straightaway. And that is a lap around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. Last season, we saw Neil Pearson in victory lane here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will he do it again tonight? Or will somebody else take the victory and lock their way into the playoffs with only 2 races remaining in the regular season? Thanks again to Alex Van de Sent for putting that lap down for us to show us how to get around this track. It is going to be a tough one tonight. These guys are going to have all hands on deck as all these tracks, all these corners are so different.
Oh, Jeff, it loaded. It loaded here.
There we go. We have the, he is driving tonight for Kevin Steele. As you see right there, there's a 7 on his car. They ran out of money over there at Apex Racing, I think, so they just had to kind of put some duct tape on it, but obviously there is Alex Van de Sent in that 7 car tonight.
Got to do whatever it is you got to do, I suppose, here as warm-up is just about to conclude here. We do have our point standings here, so we'll very quickly get into that to start this broadcast off. After Michigan last week, John Delaney with 4 wins, 25 playoff points. Hoytsma, Hoffman, and Miller there with multiple wins. Then you go all the way back to the 11th spot. Dustin Hall, the last one locked in. And our bubble there with Neil Pearson plus 22 at a track that he's going to have a lot of confidence at. So we'll see how he does fare there, and amongst some of these guys who probably aren't looking forward to it as well. Rookie of the Year standings, Pat Gitter with a fair margin over Clayton Hoffman there, mainly on consistency and attendance there, has that 70-point buffer. And then our team standings, Apex up by a large gap over Dirty South with Team Team hundreds of points back, so Apex, barring a catastrophe here, seems to be in good standings there.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good. They've been on top of the pylon all year long. I know that when Cameron got suspended, they were a little bit worried about their lead starting to dissipate, but that's not happened yet. So we do have 15 lap stage 1, and then stage 2 is going to be at the end of lap 35, but as this is a road course, our usual reminder, there will be no caution thrown for this stage, at least not specifically for that. We will continue racing, and we are going to be using that same system that we always run at the road courses, where we will have random values set for the incident count. And when we reach that number of incidents, there will be a caution thrown. Nobody knows the value, so when these cautions come out or how many of them there will be, it is a mystery to everyone. Looks like qualifying, or practice, I should say, is wrapping up. Qualifying done throughout the week, of course. Cars heading to the grid. We do have the starting order for tonight. If we can get that queued up, Andrew Dyson on the pole to the shock of nobody. John Delaney going to be rolling off in second place in that number 6/7 car. Alexander Van de Sande going to be rolling off in third place, right next to Luke Swipesma. Fifth place going to Patrick Gitter, current Rookie of the Year leader. Matt DiCiani is going to be 6th. 7th place is Matt Long with Derek Heitman in 8th. And rounding out the top 10, it's going to be Neil Pearson alongside Robert Anderson.
11th place finds Mark Paget with R.J. Raymond Root there in the 12th spot. 13th is Trevor Ryan with Sean O'Brien, SOB, in the 14th spot. Brandon Pearson 15th, and Jason, the S stands for, multiple things in the words of Andre there in 16th. Jim Schofield in 17th. Tanner Marty going to be 18th, and rounding out our top 20 is, I always want to call him Paul Tracy, but Rob Tracy in 19th, and then the drum hammer, Randy Drumhiller, in 20th.
21st was Kyle Ammon in the 25 car, Jeff Chandler in 22nd. 23rd, Don Mobu, Alex Murray to his outside in 24th. Alex Brinson in 25th with Damaris Hickenbottom in 26th. And then our final row tonight, I'm pretty sure we have just 28 cars. Wayne Grassi in the 3 and Blake Giglio starting from scratch.
Blake taking a provisional. I believe he was the only driver to take one, meaning he did not post a time. Current track conditions, 116 degrees on the blacktop. That's pretty high for a road course. They're going to be struggling for grip at least for a little while. It's 136 in sim, so that sun's going to be shining for the foreseeable future. A little bit of humidity, nothing really to worry about there, but a very long pace lap ahead of these guys. We do have the race details as well. Already established stages, lap 15 and 35. They do have 4 sets of tires, 1 on the car, 3 behind the wall, and a 21 incident limit. If they hit that limit, that is going to be an instant disqualification. And we have seen, I think, every road course this year has had at least one driver get incidented out simply due to track extensions. You rack up those 1Xs and then you get bumped a time or two, and eventually you just find yourself at that limit. And this is a track where I think these guys are going to be abusing the track limits. There's so little track to use that if you can swing it wide or cut a little bit tight, you might find yourself tempted to do that.
Now this corner, this straightaway they're on right now, the back straightaway exiting 7. You see all that bright asphalt to the right of the screen that's now gone. That is fair game, so you will see drivers running wide off that turn 7 curb there. I think I could pull it up here very quickly. They'll run off that curb here all the way up here, and they'll use all of that runoff pavement there. So you can kind of be a little bit cheaty here with the limits. In some places, And I'll ask this to Jeff, our kind of team driver connoisseur here. What is the tire situation here on the road courses? I know for a couple seasons, road course tires basically were indefinitely not wearing. Is that still the case?
Yeah, right now I don't expect any of these guys to really want tires. Like you said, at this point, you might be able to run your best lap on 50-lap old tires. So you're going to see these guys going to be stopping for fuel within a 33, 35 lap gap roughly. So we'll have to wait and see here who decides to go for stage points and who's going to play the long game and try to get the better finish based on strategy.
See that indeed the case here as they come off of 14 here through the right-hander back up onto the front straightaway in reverse configuration here as we get ready for tonight's efforts. We're going road racing here, getting closer and closer to the playoffs. Who can get their self situated and who will end up on a rollback? Let's find out together. Green flag is out here. We're racing at the Indy Road Course.
Andrew Dyson wasted no time getting on that loud pedal. He was pretty much coming full speed out of the road course, and he's going to be clear before we get to that heavy braking zone in turn one, which gives him a little bit of added safety. John Delaney falling back in second, and then further back in the pack after that 5-car breakaway, it is absolute chaos. 2-3 wide all the way back. Everybody just getting their way through this double right-hander, very technical part of the track. Want to make sure you hit that right because you want to set yourself up to carry as much speed into the chicane as you can. Coming into the chicane too wide, a very scary deal. You can see the 38, Brandon Pierce, that was all 4 tires across. That may be a slowdown.
Yeah, that curb is very, very elevated there, so we'll throw the car off here. And just for the sake of geography here, I do have a track map here that I will present on the top right of your screen. So we can get a little bit of information as to where these guys are running in proximity to the racetrack. You see a couple guys there who are well off in the back. That's Tracy and Chandler. Not sure if they had problems. Looks like they may have started from the pits. Paget has gone off.
That's a big points implication right there. He only came in about 25 back, so.
That's Bobby Anderson behind him on replay here. Yeah, he just lost it on by himself and somehow evaded trouble.
Yeah, these tires, when you don't have a lot of laps on them in this first couple laps here, you got to get them up to 10.
Matt Long may have had problems. He was just very slow.
Yeah, he did the same thing there. It looked like I think he kept his car from spinning, but
if you look at the sponsor of the replay segment here, you'll seem to be getting a lot of airtime here. He just went off wide into the grass and merged at a very difficult part of the track where guys are already struggling. But luckily does continue on. He will relegate back to the 12th spot. But up front, Andrew Dyson, the Aussie, the road course connoisseur here, he's up by about a second over Delaney. Delaney was only about a 10th slower than him on the qualifying order here with the pre-qualifying session. But who has the long run pace and the consistency? I guess that's what we'll find out over 82 laps.
And that's going to be the toughest thing to overcome when it comes to battling Andrew Dyson. This man is a robot. His consistency at these road courses is borderline absurd. I mean, very few mistakes, very consistent lap times, and they're consistently the fastest on the track. John was quick in qualifying terms. He can put down a lap that is competitive. But can he put that lap down time after time? Maybe not as consistently as Dyson. We're going on board with Alexander Van de Sant. He is currently... Lucas's
license plate there, it says bump. Is that a very good thing to have on a road course?
Well, maybe on the straightaways. I wouldn't want to bump in any of the slower corners, but, maybe he's just a bit of a masochist.
We got one car off in turn number 1.
Ooh.
I'm not sure who it was, but there was one car that went way wide.
Yeah, I don't have any... Seeing as we just got to turn 1, I don't know. Are you referring to oval turn 1?
Possibly. We'll have to wait and see here if I can find it back.
But either way, you can see right here that is, through the switchback section here, side by side, not normally where you want to be. Hopping the curb, there's Gitter. Ooh, Hoytsman got loose there over the curb, and he'll lose a spot to Gitter as well.
Yeah, somebody had to give going through that chicane that quick, and unfortunately for Lucas, it was him. But John came out of that situation pretty good. So did Van de Sant. Everybody just kind of sorting themselves out now.
Giglio slow.
Ooh, Something's not right there. I don't know what's going on. Take a look at the PTR TV / 100% instant replay. Keep your eye on that 16, center of the shot. He's off the pace, I think, right there. I mean, he's holding these guys up. I don't know what exactly
yeah, he's
is going on.
downshifting. Yeah, he seemed to be having some kind of transmission issues of some kind of sort, but... Oh, and just as I get back to live footage, somebody has gone off, but
Tire smoke.
Alex Princeton, I think that was. So clearly a race of staying on the black stuff here today, but it looks like John Delaney starting to work his way towards the front position here. You can see here on the battle graphic, 0.3 of a second faster last time by, and again without the tire wear. Now let me ask you this, Jeff. Tire wear is not so much a big deal, but does the grip change throughout the run? Are you lighting up the rear tires? Are you getting loose, you know, off the slow corners? Is there really anything to the tires to be of note for tonight?
Before I talk about the tires, I will say that I was wrong. It was not turn 1. It was one of the last turns there. I saw the curve and I thought it was turn 1. It was, I think Jason Taylor had an issue, and then someone else had it. I think it was also the 24 and the 41, I think, had issues. So they had their issues. They're back going though now. Tire-wise, it's a tough deal. I think the scariest part of the tires for these guys is going to be that first couple laps on cold ones, which if they don't take any tires, you know, these first couple laps are really all they're going to have to worry about. I remember I ran a race here last year, and I ran my best lap after completely looping it in the second to last turn. So if anything, doing a loop around might actually help heat your tires up and give you a little bit more speed out of them. So once these guys are able to get cleanly, if they get cleanly through the first couple laps here, I think after that they'll be pretty okay with tire wise.
Yeah, the cold tire is definitely the worst thing these guys are going to face. I think as the race goes on, the grip levels should go up. They shouldn't be spinning the tires any more than they are initially. Jeff's exactly right there, but the one thing that will change is the track temp. Again, we came into this race with an incredibly hot surface, 116. That's getting close to the limit of what iRacing is even capable of, and I think it's going to cool down a little bit as we get a little bit further into the afternoon, 2, 3 o'clock, and that will change the grip level. It should add grip, but added grip, older tires, we'll see exactly how that affects it. But the 16 and the 00, Damaris Hickenbottom going to go a little bit wide here. I think whatever was wrong with the 16, he may have found the solution. I don't know if he was having hardware failure or what was going on, but he makes the move on Damaris, clears himself through the chicane, and then onto that extended track surface there. But Damaris not really letting him get away. Look at this slingshot down the back straightaway, using a little bit of draft down into this braking zone. It's not going to make the move, though. He's going to settle in behind, and look how sideways that 16 is getting. So go on board with Damaris. You can see the gears. He's running a lot of shifting here at this track and a very slow second half. I mean, all of these tight corners pick the speed back up in this section where you just graze onto the oval circuit. Then you got another slow section right in front of you, so it's a very tough circuit. Everybody doing a great job so far. Up front, John Delaney lingering at about 0.6 seconds. He's kind of yo-yoing back and forth. He was back to about 9/10, brought it up to 5/10. Now it's back down to 6/10. I mean, it's going to happen on a road course. You're going to trade the lap times back and forth, but any way you cut it, these two are very close in pace.
Look at that.
And I think if John could just... Yeah, I mean, he cut that about as close as you could cut it. I'm surprised he kept control of that thing when it landed, but this is a good battle. I mean, these two have been putting up such consistent laps, and I've not seen a mistake out of either of them.
Yeah, last time by, look at that, separated by 8/1000ths of a second with the teeterings on the favor of Delaney there. And actually, Van de Sant, fastest of both of them on that last time around by almost a tenth, and so showing some speed there. Now, someone who... not the biggest road course, driver in the league, but a big name, Adam Benefiel. I don't think I see him here today, guys. So, I mean, obviously he has enough wins to help himself out in the point standings, but a big note that is absent in tonight's race.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where if you don't like road courses, you're not showing up to run tonight, and I take the same exact
Wait,
outlook.
wait. He showed up to Chicago, though, and nobody wanted to race there except the Aussies.
Yeah, well, Chicago is a little bit different. You know, first time going there for us. Maybe making them want to run there a little bit more. Not too sure, but I know I took the week off myself from one of my league races this week because for me, if I'm not going to be at least contending for a top 5, it's kind of a waste of my time to even suffer through a track like this.
So you're one of those guys that doesn't know how to just putt around in 15th and be proud of it.
I know how to. It's just sometimes, you know, you have other things to do on a Saturday night. So we know Adam is a man of culture, so he's probably enjoying himself with something
Delaney
tonight.
Sends it on in there, locks him up, and well, that'll cool
in the grass
tires.
he goes.
Yeah, that'll cool the tires off if they even heat up.
Cool him off for sure. Van de Sant now not far behind that rear bumper.
The evil twin, the evil brother.
That is going to give Andrew Dyson some much-needed breathing room. He was definitely feeling the pressure for the last 6.5 laps, and with that little bit of a bobble, you know, we were asking who's going to make the first mistake. I guess it was John. Now he's got to try and reel him back in, or maybe wait for one of the first random cautions. But yeah, speaking of Adam Benefield's absence, I mean, Dustin Hall's not here either. So there's only one entrance for Team Conti, that being Kyle Ammon in the 25 machine. So he's kind of carrying the team on his back tonight, and hopefully going to do a good job of it, do him proud.
He might be kind of sagging under the weight here as he is in the 21st position.
We got Pat Getter out there though too, I think. Up there.
I mean, have you seen Kyle Ammon? I don't
have a webcam of him, but I know he has the evil Mario stash, and I don't want to piss him off. So good job, Kyle. As he locks it up there and maybe loses a spot to Princeton. You can see the drum hammer back in the rear there, and I cannot say Randy Drumhiller's name normally anymore. I do thank you for that, Andre.
You're welcome.
And I just want to note here, this was a post-race thing last week. Kyle Ammon did message me, and I was trying to figure it out myself, and I just couldn't figure it out. That paint scheme he's running tonight and that he ran last week, that's a Mario Fieri car, one of the Northeast's best drivers up here. So a little bit of tribute to him. Ran last week, and again running tonight on the Indy Road Course. A very, very special place.
Look at Heitman and Diciani there running side by side through that, I think 8 through 10 complex there, as they round out back into the final chicane section. Of course, the original Indy Road Course, we would just be going full send around the turn 1 in reverse here, but I think due to safety concerns, they have since tried to lower the speeds there into turn number 1.
Yeah, they've definitely tried to get it woed up a little bit. There was more than a few concerns in regards to safety there, but either way, these guys have made it work. I mean, we've seen these guys 2-3 wide in pretty much every part of the track. There's going to be a battle going on, and so far everybody's been playing nice. No one's really getting bumped around, as tends to happen in real life. But we're early in the race. You know, patience is still in high supply, but I'm sure that'll start to dissipate as we continue on, get a little bit closer to the end of stage 1 here. Lap 9 out of 15. And I think the 16 might have just grazed the wall there on that quick shot.
Kyle Ammon, I think he took
a detour.
Yeah, he took a detour, and then now he's headed to the pits here. Replay on screen. He overcooked the chicane rather than try to grass it. Let me just go test out a new moto layout. And
comes back out, and then I don't know why he would have pit. I mean, fuel is
not in a window yet. Not in a window yet.
No, I don't want to forecast anything here or create bad pictures, but some guys, they say, I tried. And go hit other places of interest on a Saturday night, but let's see.
I think Rob Tracy might be one of those people. He has disconnected.
Good old starting park, bringing back the 2004 era.
And tonight you get a decent amount of points doing a start in Park 2 with only 28 cars here. So,
should we give him maybe the honorary Dave Blaney Award?
Well,
I need a little context there.
Dave Blaney almost won the Daytona 500.
Oh, yeah, we need a little context there for that one there, Andre.
I mean, Dave Blaney isn't he kind of the reason that Starting Park is outlawed?
Yeah, oh yeah, because they basically did everything in their power to restart that Daytona 500 after the track became. I mean, there's been enough wins, like, you know, Justin Haley. There was Chris Buescher back at Pocono. I think they were just sick of giving underfunded guys wins back in the days. But good little gaggle on track in and amongst Schofield, closing in on Tanner Marty, having a solid run in the top 15. Actually, we may have a battle for second here. We have the original and the evil twin brother there, Delaney and Pseudo Van de Sant there in second. Looks like coming into the final chicane, Delaney really starting to kick the rear end out under the brakes there. A lot more stability under the 7 of Van de Sant, and we'll see if he can take that run into turn 1.
Yeah, now the tire wear isn't going to matter, but what will matter is tire temp, and you can still cook the tires. If you get on the throttle a little bit too hard, or if you slide through a series of corners, you will temporarily raise that tire temp, and it's going to feel like you're driving on ice for a little while until you cool them down. And I think that may have been what John's problem was through that section of the track. We'll see now that he's had a chance to go down the straightaway, take an easy corner, no sliding. They shouldn't be screaming at him anymore, so he should have Van de Sant covered.
Can't even see him from this angle.
Yeah, looking back from our leader there, I mean, there's just nobody in sight on board with Van de Sant now, taking a bit of an earlier entry, rocking that curb. I don't know how dangerous it is. At some tracks, those curbs get you really loose, but it seems like he was able to hold on to those curbs, and it didn't unsettle the car at all. So, pretty solid line for Van de Sant.
Oh boy, we got another cut line issue. Jason Taylor went off track near the pit road, hit the wall, and ended up just taking his full service here. So another guy that's on that cut line looking for a good run. Obviously, trouble already.
All right, so you said he hit the pit wall?
Very close to the pit wall, yes. The rumble.
All right, so
tires.
we're just going back a little farther back because he locked it up in the chicane, locked it up twice. He did keep it on circuit. There's the drum hammer and Mobley just back there, grassy as well. And yeah.
Oh no.
Wah, wah,
It looks like he was
wah.
trying to pit, and it just overcooked it a little bit.
It's a very narrow pit entry here, something to speak of if this does have green flag stops. It is not the most straightforward pit entry in motorsports, to say it nicely.
No, it is a tough one because the amount of times that you're braking and gassing up and braking and gassing up, you don't want to miss that pit road if you want to come to pit road, but you want to get as much as you can at the same time. So these guys are just trying their hardest.
That was a John Madden. That was a John Madden right there, Jeff. You don't want to miss the pit road if you want to go into the pit road, is what you just uttered.
Yeah, it's true.
If you want to score a touchdown, you have to catch the ball. I think it was something on those lines.
What did I say that one time? If you want to win the race, you got to be in the lead. Yeah,
that's true.
It's similar vibe.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott at Pocono last year, he wasn't in the lead, and he still won that race at Pocono. So
Delaney!
Oh, no. John in the number 6 goes around. He's in the grass. He's playing
stuck.
slip and slide out there.
He might be.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, did the virtual rain hit here? I thought I wasn't out for a couple builds, but let's go back and check out. I think he's in turn numbers, heading into 7 right here. There's already some smoke. Maybe someone put some oil down.
Yeah, somebody locked it up there, but he just came in a little bit hot, clipped the curb.
Oh, and look at Van de Sant. Had to really tighten it up there, as well as it was Gitter. And yeah, he looked genuinely stuck there. Maybe he was on the brakes as well, but either way, that'll put him down to the 9th spot, did Delaney.
Yeah, barely going to get any stage points. And obviously, he's points leader, and he's got the most wins on the season, so not a whole lot to worry about in terms of stage points for him. But still, he was sitting pretty right there in 2nd place, and then one mistake. And, well, actually, I guess that'd be his 2nd mistake of the night, so he's got to clean that up. He wants to have a chance to get the lead, because Andrew Dyson, he's still 3.5 seconds out of Van de Sant in 2nd place, continuing to extend that gap, and he's not making mistakes. You're not seeing him play slip and slide in the grass, so gotta clean it up, gotta get used to the track, gotta figure out something, because if you don't, this guy's gonna drive away with it. I mean, you can see how deep he's taking it in, and just getting back on the throttle so soon. The car control is just, wow.
Shane Van Dyson, I guess we can call him here, depending on how well he does. Now, guys, I did do a little bit of recon here upon last year's race here, just so we can get a little understanding of the caution count. There were 4 cautions in last year's race. Now that is a slight incorrect fact to go off of, because as that's the 28 headed to pit road. That's Jeff Chandler. That we did last year, per the rules, have stage caution. So if you want to kind of extrapolate that, there were 2 incident count based yellows in last year's race, because of course we will have that rolling stage in about 2 laps. So I'm not sure, again, that just for further clarification, there is a fixed number of how many accumulative incidents amongst the whole field has to be tallied to trigger a caution. And correct me if I'm wrong, Andre, I don't think anybody knows it, or if anybody does, it's only the admin. I don't know which one it is.
So even the admins don't know. It is accumulative for the entire field. So if one driver gets a 1X and then another driver gets 1X, that's going to be counted in the system as 2X. And then if the number is arbitrarily decided 17X is going to be a caution, then the total, once it hits that threshold, brings out the caution. And like I said, even the admins do not know, because I believe the number is generated once the session is started, and there is no software, there's no back-end data to look in and see exactly what value has been chosen. So it's just going to be completely random. You just kind of have to drive like there's not going to be a caution, because you don't know if there will or there won't, and that's really all there is to it.
Yeah, and one thing I want to know, just because of the situation we've had the last few weeks, I know last week we didn't have a fully updated point situation, but a couple guys having issues that were on that cut line, and then a couple guys, so I guess the only person right now in that section to get stage points that's on that cut line would be Derek Heitman. So Heitman, the only guy on that cut line, minus Neil Pearson, who's obviously 16th right now in that 5th position. Those 2 are the only ones who are going to get stage points at this point. So that's a big deal for them. But at the same time, one car that we need to watch that isn't on this list right here is Blake Giglio. And he was only 30 points back from that coveted 25th position. If he gets to 25th, that cut line drops down 1 spot, because he will then have that win count and get him into the chase. So it's a big deal right now for Giglio. Obviously, we saw him with that issue earlier. He might have been able to get up there to a top 10 for the stage points. Obviously not now. So we'll have to see, as we're on the last lap of this stage, what is he going to do to try to get up there and get that track position?
I think his focus has got to be on stage 2. I'm no mathematician, but I'd have to assume that we're going to get one of those incident count cautions before lap 35. And the field will probably be bunched up. He's in 18th. That would only put him 8 positions back from getting some stage points. He's passed 10 cars already, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for him to do that again. But as they work their way through the final section of the infield road course, back out onto the straightaway, Andrew Dyson is going to win stage 1, grab himself some valuable points. Alexander Van de Sant behind him in 2nd should take home points. And there's enough distance behind between everybody that we can pretty confidently say stage point recipients: Andrew Dyson, Alexander Van de Sant, Patrick Gitter, Lucas Hoitzman, Neil Pearson, who is on that cut line, Matt DiCiani, RJ Root, Derek Heitman also on that line. John Delaney goes from 2nd to 9th. And then the final driver is going to be Alex Murray, who started a little bit further back than he wanted to. The driver, that number 22, said he messed up his qualifying lap, and we know he's pretty good at the road courses, so for him to get up inside the top 10 here and get some stage points, good recovery from that. But look at this, John Delaney quick to the bumper of the car ahead. That's going to be the 76 of Derek Heitman, trying to hold him at bay. It's going to be a tall order, because John is not only fast, but I think at this point, because of the mistakes that have been made, he's probably a little bit angry, yeah.
Let's see here, coming out of the chicane into 7. He's going to have a look, and he's going to pounce on the opportunity, hard on the brake. This is where you spud out, John, so make sure you woe it down. He did do so. Heitman probably was a little bit cautious, because at this point I think everyone is more so in survival mode than they are attack mode. So that will move him up to the 8th spot. RJ Root just in front. But then after you get to RJ Root, who's in the 7th spot, let's look ahead of RJ Root. I don't see it. You have to look far ahead to see anybody. So there's a big gap up there to Matt DiCiani in the 6th spot. So Delaney's going to need probably a little bit of help, whether it be from the yellow or Diciani having some issues there to eat that gap. But Derek Heitman, he's going to pull the first strategy card here. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't know what the windows are, Jeff. I'll leave that to you. But obviously, the window is open for in some capacity.
Yeah, these guys are looking at, based on my numbers right now, around 33, 34, I would say, because we do have one pace lap there calculated in. So I would say right now your window is open, especially if we do get one of those cautions. You can save a lot more fuel under those cautions. So I would say right now, if you're Heitman, you're coming down right now, you're going to take a full tank, probably no tires. Like I said earlier, tires are not mattering much. So you take a full tank right now, and if one of those amazing cautions come out in the next lap or two, all of a sudden he's going to cycle up probably to the lead. So this is one of those dices, you know, you got to throw here, and he's going to throw it. And it looked like he was the first car up there towards the front of the field.
Wobbly there. That is how you get out of the way of the leaders. You just come to a dead stop.
Oh, until Patrick Gitter has to make an evasive maneuver. Yeah. That could have been something.
No,
and Mobley coming to pit road as well.
Just reading our YouTube chat, someone said, don't call him that. So I don't know what we said to somebody, but I guess we will try not to say it again. But here comes Alex Van de Sant into the pits now. So that is out of the, I believe it was the second spot. Again, Mobley, who is now off the lead lap just behind. So I guess kind of, you know, the road course strategy, you run a race from behind. You calculate your fuel strategy off of the last lap. You do some math. And then you pit there when it happens, because if a caution does come out, you want, especially with this tire situation, if that random caution does come out, you want your pit stop to already have been completed, so that way you could stay on the track and keep or remain that track position.
Yeah, especially at a track this big, because if you're up there, I would say, you know, as long as you're not 55 seconds, you know, maybe 45 seconds behind the leader, you probably can come down, do full fuel, and come off pit road still in front of the leader, so you wouldn't have to worry about going a lap down. But
well, let's answer the question there, Jeff. Let's see what the pit lane delta time is here, courtesy of Van de Sant. 55 seconds. So with a minute 30 going around this place, what's that? You have, as long as you're within 35 seconds of the leader, you will be able to retain a lead lap position.
Which we don't have many cars left. I think it's only a top 11 as they run right now.
But here comes Dyson.
A couple that pitted, so.
The leader comes down pit road, and that's how good this guy is. We've not seen anybody come around that pit road access bend that fast. I mean, it looked like he was at race speed coming into the pits until he was just at that pit road speed limit line where he got woed up. I mean, that was art. I'd be curious to see his pit delta there, but in the meantime, it looks like Patrick Gitter is going to inherit the lead in that number 21 machine. He's been running up front within the top 5 pretty much all day long, so pretty consistent day for that 21 current Rookie of the Year provisionally. Lap cars behind him, the Drumhammer, Wayne Grassy. Then you got Neil Pearson in second, again trying to get every point he can get tonight. So close to that cut line, and only a handful of races left before the playoffs, so now is not the time to wait around, and you know, he's racing as such. He's done a great job so far tonight in that 62 alongside his teammate Matt Diciani, still staying out. He's in third place right now. Alex Murray also not coming down pit road quite yet, up to P4, and he's going to work his way around the lap car of Paget, who has not been having a good night. That 0-2 off track very early on in this race. It may have been lap 1.
Hoytsma exiting the pits now. Delaney, so pit road, a very busy place here. Brandon Pierce there, back of the shot. So pit road becoming a very busy place here. And I know, Jeff, I know you called it lap 30-ish would probably be the fuel window, but obviously something in the plan here. But then you have Gitter and Pearson. Oh, looks like Pearson's going to be coming in, and he's going to clip the grass there, going full send, but he will come in from that provisional second spot.
Yeah, this pit road is tough, not just to get on. Like, obviously, we've seen a couple guys tonight having some issues getting on pit road. But it's also tough in your pit stall, just because these pit stalls, as we know at Indianapolis, they're made for Indy cars. They're not made for NASCAR. So the main issue is when you get into your stall, are you too far left? Are you too far right? Are you too far forward? Some of these guys, based on the iRacing algorithm, their perfect pit stop is with their back tires in someone else's stall. As you see right there, I think Alex Murray's half in one stall, half in the other. Oh, I don't know, he still looks okay, but there are a couple though. Their stalls are basically half and half, so it's a tough pit stall to get it.
At least from a painted perspective, the pit stalls are actually some of the longest in racing. But the width-wise here at Indianapolis, I think it's right up there with Bristol and Gateway as the most narrow pit roads in racing. You literally have a merge lane and a travel lane. And as we know, people do not seem to follow the rules of the road here, particularly at racing, where positions are so desired here. But exiting the pits there, that still leaves the top 5. Gitter, DeCiani, Anderson, Marty, and Trevor C. Ryan as the last of the top 5 to come to the pits. As Gitter looks like he may be stretching this to the fuel cell runs empty.
He's going for that long run strategy. I'm also glad that Jeff said something about those pit stalls, because I noticed a couple cars parking on the line, and it kind of caught me off guard. I was like, wait, what? But yeah, they're just a little bit off kilter for what they would normally be, which, man, I can barely get into a normal pit stall, so I would be absolutely traumatized trying to get into one of those pit stalls, because I know I'd miss that. But a lot of cars still staying out on track. Patrick Gitter, Matt DeCiani, Robert Anderson, Tanner Marty. These guys are just running them dry.
Now, I just want to just gather this while we have the we'll kind of stay on the long shot. Look at the conservativeness versus the aggressiveness. Some guys absolutely murdering the curb. Another guy is just tiptoeing around it. And if you notice, the guys who are murdering the curb tend to be the fast guys.
Yeah, I think there's a very fine line there. iRacing obviously allows you to put 4 tires on the other side of the curb, just barely. I think as long as you're touching it. If you put 4 tires on the other side and none of them are touching said curb, that's going to be a penalty. So they're not only playing with fire, but they're legitimately getting airborne when they hit that curb. And anytime you get airborne, that car's got to come back down. And suspension on these things is not really built for that. So you know that car's got to be a handful as they get onto this long straightaway. So props to these guys for keeping it under control. That is not an easy portion of the track, and that aggression, it pays dividends, as finally Patrick Gitter is going to concede his first place position, come down pit road and pull into his pit stall, hopefully get it right.
As does DeCiani there out of second. Bobby Anderson, pit road is now available to him, and he will take heed of that opportunity here. You can see that narrow pit entry there. It's kind of, I mean, Daytona Road has that very narrow pit exit. Kind of has the inverse here of that narrow pit entry here. See Anderson in the Kellogg's Cornflakes ride there. I think you're probably supposed to be on the left lane. I don't know how well that's policed here in the league, but he will perform that task. And this should give the lead back to Andrew Dyson, who is now just entering turn number 1. And then Alex Van de Sant not too far behind him. So this may be a battle on our hands, guys. About 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, and it's a tough deal here because it's really that game of what do you want more. Like we saw a couple guys stay out a little bit longer right there. You know, talking to everybody tonight, it was going to be a 2-stop race no matter what. I don't think anybody was planning on making it on a 1-stop. So staying out a little bit longer, not sure how much that helps you. You know, you're gonna have to take a little bit more gas on this stop here than everybody else did. But at the same time, some of these guys, if they wanted to, they could have tried to pull this all the way out to that second stage end, or at least took a really short fuel at this caution or at this period where they're pitting to gain some time on track. But it looks like everybody ended up just taking a full tank, and at this point, looks like they're all going to make it to the end of the next stage, and then we'll see what people start doing, or if we get a caution before then.
Yeah, that's kind of the question on my mind. We're 22 laps into this event, which is not a short distance, and we're still not seeing any of the randomly generated cautions. So either these guys are not racking up incident points at a very quick rate, which wouldn't surprise me. If the track limits on this track are somewhat forgiving, then 1Xs may be coming at a premium, and they're so far apart they're not bumping each other. So it could just be they're not racking up incident points, or it could be that whatever that first random generated number is, it's higher than what we're used to seeing for the first one. Because generally, when we go to a road course, we would see a caution within the first 10 laps or so. But this has gone on for a very long time under green, which I'm not complaining. I prefer green flag racing, but the further you go into the run and you know that caution is kind of looming over you, it's a piano on a thread, you kind of have to wonder, when is it going to happen? It kind of drives the anxiety up a little bit.
Switch the
lap time.
Yeah, switch the ticker over here to lap times very quickly, and 0.4 of a second in the bucket for Van de Sant there, and has that lead now under 2 seconds. But this track kind of has that flow to it where some corners you have the edge, some corners everybody else has the edge. But being a very slow technical track, once we head to the Charlotte Roval, it's kind of a different story. You'll have guys who are better in the fast corners, better in the slow corners. But here at Indy, I mean, it's pretty much all slow corners, but if you can get off the right ones at the right time, that can lead to a very big gap, such as this corner here, which this right-hander, guys, it looks very, very simple. It's a flat right-hander, but the car is so unstable here through that last corner that you can really lose a lot of time headed down this very pivotal front straightaway.
Yeah, and one thing, I really didn't watch much of the Chicago street course race, as I never decided to buy the racetrack. But I know that when I watched Sonoma, the one thing that we were looking at with Andrew Dyson, because we were sitting there going, how is this guy driving away this fast? We knew he was fast from the year before, but we were going, how can he be that fast? And one of the main things that we noticed with him, one car was the wrong way.
Yeah. I think that may have been grassy. I'm not quite sure.
Well, the one thing that we noticed about how he's driving is his throttle control was ridiculous, and he was gaining so much time on exit of the corner. So we'll see here who this car was that he almost decided to go head on with.
Tanner. Oh, 28 car, Jeff Chandler that was, now that we have solved the mystery. Oh, gosh.
That was a very close
Kyle
spot.
Ammon there. Ammon didn't get through, set himself up for the chicane, and I think Chandler kind of saw a gap. And then here comes our leader. Let's get it from this angle.
Oh boy.
Well, he did a really good job of getting out of the way as fast as he could, though, there without causing incident. So good on him. But like you said, it just, that corner, that quick kink right there is such a high-speed corner that all these guys are trying to carry as much as they can through it. And you know, maybe Chandler thought Ammon was going to give up the spot there and decided to send it, and they both ended up making contact.
Good battle here for 11th and 12th. It may have been a battle that has already concluded between Matt Long and Derek Heitman. Heitman, one of those guys who was in the top 5, but had a late, actually, no, he put it on the early end, but again, that's not really much of a question here on the evening. Now, are you surprised, Jeff, that given the tire situation, that drivers even bothered to change tires here? Because theoretically, if the tires aren't wearing, you'd want to keep those tires on with the temps and being already warm, and you don't have that first couple laps of kind of wishy-washiness.
Yeah, I am surprised that some decided to take tires. It's a tough deal because I don't know if they decided to take tires or if they just forgot to take tires off. I know by default, you know, your full tank of fuel and your tires are selected. So maybe some of these guys forgot while on that pace lap or while on the setting on the grid there to shut those tires off. So when they came down, they stopped in their box. All of a sudden now they're taking tires. So okay, we have to deal with it. So not too sure. I don't think they're going to gain a lot of time by doing that, but looks like we do have at least one car, I think a couple cars that are deciding to go for this. Just run it out and hope we get a caution before they have to take fuel.
Yeah, Trevor Ryan there in 4th, and then the only other drivers who have yet to pit are Damaris, who's back there in 16th, and then we have Drumhiller and Grassi back there at the back end of the field there. You can see Blake Giglio, who talked about him needing to get into the was it the top 25, I think you said it was, to have his win count for him. He needs a lot more positions to be gained. He'll gain 1 there on Damaris. Of course, next week we head to the other road, the I think, 5th of 6th road course on the season, the Watkins Glen International. And then we will head to Daytona in 2 weeks' time for the regular season finale, the something 400. I don't know what the name of the league calls it.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a fun event for sure. In the meantime, still just kind of focusing
Is that the Soda Wars 400?
Yes, sir. That's going to be the Soda Wars car. There's, I know, about 9 cars that are going to be painted by Kevin Steele with the different sodas, and other drivers, of course, will have their designated painters make them some schemes, and it should be a good time.
And Jeff and I will be at the actual track with our umbrellas, hopefully getting some racing in while Daytona tries to get the race in at night, which it never seems to.
No, that never seems to go well. Imagine that, a race in the southeast in the late afternoon tonight and having rain. What a shocker. In the meantime, a little bit of a battle on screen here as they go down into turn 1, probably the heaviest braking zone on the track, save for the middle straightaway. That's going to be Alex Murray right behind Root. These two have been pretty close competitively. Lap times very similar. Now through the double right-hander. A very long sweeping turn. The 45 dips a tire into the grass. Now through the chicane. And, oh no. Hold on to her, Root. Did he hold on to her?
No,
he did not hold on to her.
Commentator's curse.
I take no fault in that. I'm removing commentator's curse from any blame situations here. So that's, he was one. He hopped the curb. And Curb said, "Not this time, haha," and he's into the wall.
Now, lucky for him, he got into the tire barrier, not the Armco, which is different as far as iRacing is concerned. It shouldn't have damaged the car too much. It looks like maybe a little bit of right front damage, but honestly, I think right front's going to be better than damaging the nose directly and risking any sort of engine damage. So Root can try and recover, but in the meantime, Murray picks up a position from that, going up into 9th, and Matt DiCiani about 5 seconds up the road from him. He's kind of in a cluster of cars himself here. He's got the 9 a lap down that he just had to get around, and he's got that number 6 of John Delaney. Now,
I talked about Delaney having a big gap to catch up to DiCiani, and I didn't think he was going to, but clearly a lot more consistency in the 6 here, and he was able to swallow up, I believe it was roughly a 5-second gap to DiCiani there. Moving Delaney back up to 7th. Now he has about a 1.5 seconds to get to, that is Lucas Hoitzma there, that silver little blip at the top of the shot.
Yeah, and we saw how fast he was at the start of this race. He was able to stay with Dyson, at least, within a second and a half of him. So not surprising that he's been able to contend as fast as he has after that spin early on. But he's going to obviously need a caution if he wants to get anywhere close to Dyson at the end of this one.
Yeah, he's absolutely going to need a caution, and it's kind of incredible to me. After his spin, he came onto the track 9th. He's only picked up 2 positions since then, up into P7. That was quite some time ago. Oh, my goodness. Trevor Ryan decided, all right, time to come down pit road. I don't know if that was voluntary or not.
No, let's just go back on replay. I mean, they put on a show, even if nothing came of it here. Now he's heading into the chicane.
Bit of a smoke show, that's for certain. And I definitely think he was trying to get to the pits. He just did it in dramatic fashion.
Exactly that here.
Himself in an interesting spot here. Obviously still having to make another pit stop after this one, but possibly allowing him to go another maybe 10 laps than a couple of the other guys now. So again, just kind of trying to play this long game, hoping a caution comes out when he's still on track and hoping he can leapfrog guys. But with all these guys pushing as much as they are, like you said, the forgiving track limits, I've seen a couple guys spin out or go through the grass, especially in those last 2 turns, and didn't get any X for it. So at this point, it's going to be tough for these cautions to come out, I think, unless these guys start racing each other and giving each other hard bumps.
That's a fun battle right here. Look at Matt Long stalking Derek Heitman in the 76 down the middle straightaway. Gonna get the inside lane. Heitman's gonna be able to carry some good speed, and he's gonna have the inside into the next corner. So this battle is not concluded by any means. Now back the other way, give the advantage back to the 97, but then back into a left-hander as Heitman locks it up a little bit. They're gonna stay side by side. Neither driver able to clear one another. Now back out onto the oval, at least momentarily. The 97 had a lot of momentum, but he's taken the long way around the track. Into the braking zone. Looks like Heitman gets clear, and it's not over yet. Bit of a crossover move. Looks like it might be coming from the 97. And a bump to the rear bumper. He's rattling his cage.
And these cars do not take bumps very lightly, especially when the rear end of the car is so light, especially in those two turns right there. So Heitman able to hold on to it for now, but Matt Long is trying his best to get all he can.
No, he ain't gonna send it. He ain't gonna send it. He's thought about it. Loading, loading.
He's close.
All right.
Nope.
File closed.
Oh, then he gets a little bit sideways coming out of the corner. Going to cost him a little bit of time. That was some great defense out of that 76 to be side by side through one of the most technical parts of the track and make no contact for either of them and to race it out as clean as that was. That was really impressive by both those guys. And the battle's not done because here comes the 97 with a hellacious run. As we go to the drone cam momentarily, that's a fast drone coming down the straightaway. Again, he's trying again.
Evading some contact there. May have had a little bit of it. Again, this is where they ran side by side. Bobby Anderson in the 5. He's right back there deciding what to do. Long will, whether voluntarily or not, fall back into line here. This is the toughest, slowest part of the track here. Heading through the very difficult part. This part of the track caught Brody Kostecki out in Cup qualifying today with all the transitions, banking transitions, hard on the binders for this final chicane here. But it looks like Heitman will be able to breathe for the time being. Slower car of Damaris Hickenbottom just in front, but far enough out of the way for the time being. But look at Long. He's going to get a run off of 14. And let's see if he's going to make an optimistic charge. Nope, he's going to hit the fence.
These guys are racing their hearts out. And you might ask one of your questions might be why. What's the big point of them, these guys racing each other? That's for 10th. That's the last point in this stage.
Yep.
And all these guys want that last point. Heitman came in here 39 under that cut line. He already lost a little bit to Neil Pearson in that first stage. He wants this 1 point because going into a run of the road course next week at Watkins Glen, where he won, I think, last year, and then going into Daytona, where anything can possibly happen, you're going to have to be as close as you can to those to that cut line. So these guys are trying to get as many points as they can, and if they have to lean on each other to get them, then that's what they're going to do.
And I have no doubt that the 97 is the faster car at the moment. But he just can't quite complete the pass. It's not working out. So he's using up the whole track. You saw coming out of turn 3, I believe it was, he dipped 2 tires into the grass, kicked up some dust. I mean, he is just abusing the track limits, trying to get around in 76. But all the credit to Derek Heitman, he is not cracked under this pressure. I mean, it's something. I know if you've never run a race like this before, when you got a car filling up your rear view and you're coming into a heavy braking zone, you got that thought in the back of your mind. You're thinking, is he going to run into me? Is he going to bump me? Is he going to sail in? What's he going to do? And you start overthinking everything. You overthink your steering, your throttle, your brakes, and that's when you start making mistakes. You start to crack. But Heitman has not done that. He's just running his race. He's hit his marks. He's consistent. And meanwhile, you got Matt Long behind him just doing everything he can to try to make this pass, driving his heart out, like Jeff said. Just has not come to fruition yet. A little bit loose again. That's been Matt's trouble spot numerous laps in a row, and when he makes that mistake, he falls just far back enough, but these good runs he gets out of the chicane aren't close enough.
Yeah, exactly that, and it's something that always happens to me every time I race on a road course. It always happens to me. I'm better at the wrong parts of the track. You want to be good off of the chicane. That gives you a run down the back into this braking zone. He's not good here. He's not necessarily good off of 14, not giving him enough of a run into 1. But he's good through this very tight one-lane technical section. But that does not open up any opportunities to make a pass.
Not at all, and you really need the guy in front of you to make a mistake if you want to pass him here. That, or you have to just completely send it. And right now, these two are just not really making any mistakes as
Matt Long going to close in a good amount right there. Can he hold it off? He does hold it. See if he can get anything going through this final right-hander back to the straightaway.
Yeah, this is a very tough corner, like Corey mentioned. If you can carry just a little bit more speed than the guy in front, that speed carries all the way down the straightaway. It offers a huge potential advantage.
Yeah, you see there the next position interval there. It grew exiting the corner, and it'll decimate very quickly there. Actually, I guess no, it won't there because it's not working properly. Slight delayed, but it will work its way down there as he gets through this corner. Look at the much tighter line here through the right-hand kink there. Gets him right to the back bumper. Now, can he get a good run through the chicane here and set himself up down the back into 7?
Well, one thing I've noticed in the last few laps is Heitman realized the runs that Matt was getting, and he has tightened up that chicane a lot. He's been really aggressive, doing that bit of a curb hop that we've been seeing a lot of the aggressive drivers doing. And it's worked really well because it's prevented Matt from getting alongside and posing a reasonable threat through this winding back section of the track. If he wasn't doing that, if he kept running that chicane the same way he was running it before, he'd have to be battling lap after lap, but he's able to keep them just barely at bay. And that's what it's about, adapting, not just to the track, not just to your own car, but watching what the competition is doing, watching what everybody else is doing. And if you got to change your line to compete, then that's what you got to figure out.
Now
this,
go ahead, Jeff.
Most of these turns, there are no line other than the main line. So these tracks going to hit rubbered in. I think, let's check the track temp right now. We're at 119, so still very hot.
Hotter than it was before.
So as these guys put down laps, I don't know if the track's going to really cool down unless we get a caution. So these guys are just driving as hard as they can, and we know what spot we're in, and I don't know if we're going to get any cautions just because of, like we said, it's so forgiving at this point. So we'll see as we come up on 2 to go for the stage if we're going to see any other people start to do this early pit stop strategy, or are they going to stay out and get those stage points?
There are rare occasions that the software does not work too, which I've seen it happen in other leagues, but this is also a situation I haven't really brought it up either. This is a track where downforce is very important, and when you are this close, I mean, as much as we hate the words dirty air, it does come into effect here. But look, he's right to the back bumper right now. Didn't get quite through the first set of the kinks there, but let's see if he can set himself up. He's going to run a tighter line. He's going to get on the throttle. And now let's see, this is not the best passing zone, but you can force it. Looks like Heitman is going to get through the kink there, the right-hander, and he'll open up enough of a gap into the braking zone here.
Yeah, just enough of a gap that is going to keep that position safe, at least for the time being. But Matt is not giving up. He may not get this stage point, but that's not going to stop him from trying to pass him later down the line. Also, Blake Giglio up to 14th. He was 18th last time we talked about it, but he did not get up inside the stage for this final lap. He will not be getting points, but here we go. Big dive for Matt Long down to the bottom into the braking zone. Derek Heitman locks it up a little bit, but it doesn't matter because he's able to get clear. He stays on the track, no time lost. Again, the battle for the final stage point available. And then 97. Here's what he's got to do. He's got to get to that low side in the double right-hander. Are they going to touch? No, the 97, very, very forgiving there.
Now let's see what the curb hop's going to be here, and it looks like it's going to go to Heitman.
I mean, they both took it pretty conservative through there.
Well, that might have been his best shot, but again, there's the age-old saying that isn't really age-old, but is it worth wrecking out for a point and detrimenting yourself for the long haul? So you want the stage point, but you also want to be able to get to lap 82 as well.
Yeah, you do. And also, I should point out, Dyson has already won.
Yeah, he's all the way well into turn 1 here. So the battle we're watching is the best battle on track. That is why we're so heavily focused on everybody else separated by a multitude of seconds right here. So, yeah, Van de Sant, Gitter, Pearson, and Hoytsma, the top 5. Delaney in 6, Tiziani, Root, Murray, Root, and then Heitman, as we've been watching the last of the stage point drivers here. And most drivers about 14 to 17 laps, I'd say, into their stints right now. So I guess we can do the math here. 82 minus, 35, Jeff? I don't want to do that in my head. Somebody help me.
I would say the last pit stop for most of these guys, unless they try to play some funky strategy to get track position, I would say is probably going to be around 49. At that point, you can definitely make it. Caution or not, you'll be able to make it. So 49 to probably 50, 53 maybe is where we're going to see most of these guys come down. Don't have to worry about stage points now, and we'll just have to worry about the end of the race.
But in the meantime, it is a stage sweep for Dyson, 4 seconds back to Alexander Van de Sant. And Eric Heitman did prevail over Matt Long, getting the last stage point available by just a few tenths. We're going to go to a quick break as we get a little bit closer to the halfway point in the race. We'll be back momentarily. Don't miss a thing.
And we're back here on PTR 100% Cup Series TV here, whatever you want to call it here, after our break here in the Brick Breaker 200 here, race number 24 on the calendar. If you're just joining us, Andrew Dyson has had all but the perfect race here on the evening. He has led 34 laps. The only reason he has not led the other 5 was just due to pit stop timing. You did see on the side-by-side there that RJ Root in the 45 did come to the attention of his crew there. So he is now off the lead lap back to 17th. And Van de Sant has, he started the stint roughly 2.5 seconds behind Dyson. That gap has grown to nearly 6 seconds in arrears.
Yeah, he's pulled away just a little bit. And again, it all comes down to consistency. That's what the name of the game has been for Dyson. We've not seen him make any bobbles. And Van de Sant's been fast. He's just a tick off of the pace that Andrew can run. And so consistently just losing a little bit of time here and there. You see 128.3 for Andrew Dyson. I mean, that's basically a qualifying lap. And then a 129.1 last time by for Van de Sant. A little bit of a bobble maybe that last lap. I'm not sure because he was on a 128.7 before that. Patrick Gitter running third. He's running a 129.3. Neil Pearson running lap times comparable to the leaders with a 128.5, then a 128.9. And John Delaney, you know, he's not running as fast as he was at the start of this thing. 129.0 last time, and this time it was a 129.4. So, I don't know, that 6 car maybe lost a little bit of motivation back in the pack, but nonetheless, lap times are close, but I don't think anybody's got anything for Dyson.
I don't think so at all.
You know, that deal with Delaney, I think he knows the position he's in right now is basically, I just got to log laps and hope there's a caution to catch me up to the field. I know I'm fast enough to probably contend, but like we said, 27 seconds back after that spin early, and he's not catching him, obviously, under green flag conditions, unless there's some big calamity in front of him. So he's just going to continue logging laps here, stay as far up as he can, and just pray and hope that something happens, that a caution comes out.
All right, guys, I just want to do a little spatial awareness here. So this is Dyson, the orange car. This is just actual live interval. That is Van de Sant. Now let's look how far back we have to wait for Gitter for third. Still waiting. Still waiting. There goes Gitter. And now we have Pearson. And now we're going to wait for Hoytsma. And this is just our top 5.
Hoytsma and John together coming down the straight away.
Right here. And then, so that, now let's wait a little bit longer. Now Alex Murray, I think he just passed us right there. Now here's the big kicker. Now we're waiting for Heitman. Now we have to wait another 23 seconds. And we're still in the top 10 right now.
Yeah, this is just crazy.
Yeah, this is very boring air, but this is very boring air time. I'm aware, but I just want to put a real life implication on what these intervals are. And, all right, here comes Heitman here, and I will spare us the boredom of everybody else. But that's just how far apart these guys are. And let me turn the track map on. Whoa, there we go. Now let me try to fix the colors here because it's supposed to kind of show the. It's supposed to kind of look a little different here, but you can kind of see how spaced out everybody is. And very surprising. I think I watched a little bit of my broadcast from last year because I did cover this race last year on PTR TV. And we did have a fun flag, caution flag, incident flag. I think it was within the first 5 laps. But again, a very, very different campaign here this evening.
We got more cut line issues. That last lap right there, it looked like the 47 of Schofield got a little bit off track himself. Might have lost a spot or two. So these guys that can't really have problems are the ones that are making the problems. And as we've talked about, Pearson having such a good run, gaining points himself on a cut line. The cut line he's looking at is that 47 of Schofield because he's assuming that Blake Giglio is going to make his way into the top 25. So the more issues that Schofield has tonight, the better chance that Neil Pearson could end up in that top 15 because of Giglio possibly making the top 25. So these guys, they're all racing for something right now, even if it's not overall points, if it's not a win to make the playoffs, if it's team points, it doesn't matter what they're racing for. They're all racing for these spots, and they're trying to get as many points as they can, even if they're out of contention.
Contact! Remember, this was the battle for the stage, the final playoff, the final stage point, and it's still 9th and 10th. Well, now it's 9th and 10th rather than 10th and 11th. But with a little bit of manhandle in there, Long will get the spot finally.
Yeah, he definitely brute forced his way around, and I think that's what it's going to take. I don't know a whole lot about the Indy Road Course. I've not really done a whole lot of driving here on iRacing or any other video game for that matter, but just from what I have observed, passing seems difficult. There's only so many corners with any amount of runoff. The track is very narrow, and pretty much all of the track limits are grass, which you're not going to be making up much ground. So it's tough, and it almost kind of puts the short track mentality behind the wheel where it's like, if I'm going to get this guy, I got to move him out of the way. I'm not going to wreck him. I'm not going to dump him. I'm just going to, you know, give him a gentle nudge out of the way and go about my day. The problem with that is, if you're going to move somebody, you need to move them enough that you get away from them. And right now, I don't see Matt Long pulling too far away from Derek Heitman. I think if Derek hits his lines here, he might have a shot at him. And well, if he wants to move him back, he'd be perfectly justified in doing so. Down the straightaway, going to use a little bit of the slipstream, 6/10 between them. Let's see if Matt Long can extend this gap a little bit. I thought he was the faster car back when he was behind. Let's see if that holds true down into the braking zone. Derek Heitman a little bit deeper in. That's what he has to do. A bit of a wider line, closes in just a little bit up on the curb. But these curbs they look to me like very flat curbs. They're not curbs that are going to risk spinning you out if you get up on them. They're not the Watkins Glen curbs by any means, except for that one. That curb not only gets you airborne, but in real life, it junks half the field.
Yeah, and then the kind of the inaugural race here, it actually decimated, and they had to unbolt it mid-race. So they have made it an asphalt curb, so therefore that issue is kind of alleviated here going forth. But and mind you guys, this battle 9th and 10th is only give or take about 25 seconds from being a lap down battle. We are lapped up to the 13th spot. Blake Giglio 1 minute and 22 seconds off the lead. Lap time's right around 1:29 here. Sean O'Brien is the free pass recipient of the moment, but whether or not that ever becomes an available circumstance, well, your guess is as good as ours here on the evening. Dyson now up by 6 seconds. Although not the fastest car on the track by any means, he's one of the few actually in the top 10 that wasn't in the 28-second bracket last time by, but he has the lead to boot. It looks like Van de Sant there. Oh, first mistake of the race.
Leader goes into the grass, just overcooked it a little bit, but he's going to get back on the pavement. And I don't know, what do you think he lost there? About 4/10?
It's the benefit of having such a big lead, honestly. You can make those little mistakes.
Oh, well, I've jumped back a little bit too far here, so we'll...
It doesn't really hurt him at this point.
Well, we'll just kind of call it a loss there, but back to, I think, live footage here. Yep, he was kind of swerving down the straightaway there. I don't quite know why, but...
He's cleaning off the tires. He got grass on him and actually wanted to get the grip level back up. That's exactly what that was.
He lost 2.2 seconds approximately there from right about 6 to 3.6. So still a good lead, not a huge lead. It's enough of a lead that you have to keep yourself under control. You can't spin and keep the lead, but he doesn't have to go full send because he has enough car that if he runs a modest pace, he still should easily retain that position.
The tough part about that right there is, you know, at an oval, a normal racetrack that we'll run on, you might be able to just back off a little bit. You know, if you have a 7-8 second lead on someone, you back off a little bit. You maybe get in throttle a little bit later in the corner, manage your stuff, don't want to spin it out. At a road course, that rhythm is so important that if you start trying to be a little bit safer with your laps, you might end up messing yourself up more than if you just ran your normal laps. So it's tough to say. Well, as of right now, it looks like he's gonna, you know, he has about 3.5 over Van de Sant. It's tough to just say, you know, back off a little bit. You're running a fast pace. Take the car easy and just be your own car. But it's that tough position where, as a guy like Dyson, where we keep saying doesn't make many mistakes. That's the first one I think we might have seen all season on a road course.
In front of him there.
It's just so difficult right now for him.
Oh, who's that in front of him having some issues? That is the purple and black car of Tanner Marty.
Yeah, Tanner Marty had a bit of a slide there. He was doing some Takumi Fujiwara drifting, I think. We'll take a look at the PTR TV replay. See what exactly happened to old Tanner. Cooked it down into turn 1. That was the plume of smoke. Somebody else cooked it behind him.
Yeah, someone put some oil down it. Austin Dillon break a radiator hose there.
He has more issues.
He clipped the left side in the grass there, and that put him out into the kitty litter there. It may have been Giglio who had that subsidiary issue right behind him there, and then again right in front of our leader, but no issues of note following that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, right now, Andrew Dyson's probably thinking, come on, guys, clean up your act, because I think it's in his best interest that this stays green. And also, he's trying to make up for that couple seconds he lost making that mistakes. And if he's got to check up for cars making mistakes in front, well, he's not making any of that time up. So he's been kind of unlucky in a lot of ways. It seems like he's had some issues. Here comes Schofield.
Yeah, he also ran a detour as well.
Oh. So he's taking the...
They're putting some rubber down. They think the third guy to run that little configuration.
You know what? I'm putting in a petition. I think because that's so perfect right there and so accessible. I think next time we come here, Joker lap. Got to hit it once.
That would actually be hysterical to be able to have that option. But, we live in a fictitious world, and this is a battle for position right now. That is RJ Root and Trevor C. The C stands for something Ryan there, 15th and 16th, but Root will pull away. Didn't have anything on the fly to fill that in.
I think he had something on the fly. It just wasn't air appropriate.
Oh, that just came to my mind now. You said it, but we'll come up with something there. The S is for strategy for Jason Taylor. I don't know if there's any other alternatives that you sometimes sneak in there, Andre, but it's not for speed tonight because 24th, 3 laps down.
Jason sliding into pit road, Taylor.
Sand trap Taylor.
One thing to note, we just saw, you guys showed it, Schofield came down pit road. I don't think he's in a window to make it yet. So another car coming down pit road.
34 to go? That's math. Yeah, I did some math there.
He's going to have to save. My numbers from our in-race volunteer for the lap around the track this week was 35 laps max saving mode. So right now, if he's gonna have to go 34, assuming he's he'll be a lap down, so he'll have to go at least 34 to make it to the end here. He's gonna have to be saving fuel at that point, unless he thinks he's gonna go another lap down or he thinks we're gonna get a caution. It's really that tough position.
Yeah, I was just going to say all it would take is one caution. If he's that close on the bubble, he's going to be about 2 laps short. And if we get a caution, he's running a little bit lower speed, he'd be in the good. He wouldn't have to pit, which would be a huge advantage because there's a lot of drivers out there that have yet to pit. Andrew Dyson, Alexander Van de Sant, Patrick Gitter, all these guys out front have not come down pit road. So some of these guys that are coming down a little bit early, if fortune fell in their favor, that could be a huge, huge play. But unfortunately, and you kind of mentioned during the downtime on the commercial break that you're following along with somebody as a spotter, and when they touch the grass in that part of the track there early on in the first sector, the game didn't even give them 1X. So the accumulation of the incident points to trigger a caution has been probably the slowest we'll see at any road course this year.
Well, we head to Watkins Glen next week, and let's see, Watkins Glen will actually cause a lot of issues the way that they have turn 1 configured here on iRacing, where you can kind of run a lane off the curb, but if you run a lane .1, you get an incident. You go up the hill, should be fine. I think that's going to be the main issue next week is going to be turn 1, maybe exiting the...
Bus stop.
Oh yeah, bus stop curbs for sure. I think the carousel exiting that with all that pavement now, I'm pretty sure that's pretty lax, and maybe the last 2 corners. But again, I'm just very surprised that we've had this. I don't have the exact laps, but I know we had 2 cautions via the incident system last year, and our field size in that race was 32. So we 28, more or less the same field size here on the evening. So these guys have clearly learned the dots and crossed the T's and dotted the other letters that need dots, and it's been a clean race, which again, no complaints on that.
Tell you what, I think this is fixing to be a pretty good battle. I think Pearson is closing in ever so slightly on Patrick Gitter. They've been pretty close in pace most of the night, but Pearson, I'd have to imagine, is running a similar setup to our race leader, being his teammate. You can see last lap for both of them, 129.8 for Gitter, 129.1 for Pearson. So that's not a small margin to close in. That's almost a second he gained as they come through the corner, less than a second between them. And they're going to be headed back out onto the straightaway, so we'll be able to see what the lap time differential is this time by. I don't think he's going to gain quite as much as he gained last lap. If I had to bet, I would say give the advantage to Pearson. It looks like Gitter crosses the line 128.7 to a 128.7.
Basically a draw. Now, for Pearson's sake, guys, of course, being last year's winner in this, his first and I believe only victory in the series. I don't think he has another one here on Saturdays anyways. Is this a disappointment? I mean, it's hard to say a top 5 is a disappointment, but knowing what his teammate is doing and, you know, his expectations of road courses and winning last year, are you happy to be in the top 5 now, or do you think he's kind of upset that he's not up battling with his teammate?
I think it depends on the kind of driver and what their expectations were going into the race. I mean, I don't think anybody can reasonably go into every race with a legitimate feeling that, yep, I'm going to win this race. Like
this guy.
But, I mean, maybe John. But for the most part, you kind of know, look, I got a good shot here, but you never know if the competition's going to be better. And that's just kind of the way it is. I would say to be running in the top 5, to be getting these stage points, especially in his situation where he got stage points in the first 2 stages, he needed them, you know, and so that's a good day.
Van Pits.
As the race comes to a close, if he's still in the top 5, that's a great points day. But Van de Sant within the window, just barely coming down pit road. He's going to go ahead and get his fuel. I doubt he's going to take tires, but for the heck of it, let's just follow along and see exactly what he does in one of the longer pit roads on the circuit. We're going to go 2 wide track just next to him there, down into the corner.
Worth noting as well that he was closing again. He had the gap below 3 seconds at the time of pitting. And I don't see Jax going up, so this is going to be fuel only. Yeah, they would have already gone up. There goes Delaney at the back end of the shot there.
Tell you what, the Jackman loves when we come to road courses, because I don't think he's touched that car one time.
Yep, that is a 15-second pit stop solely with Sunoco race fuel there, as there goes Dyson. We'll see when he chooses to pit. That's Blake Giglio going, I believe it to be the first lap. Oh, yep, he's a lap down now in the 12th position and really struggling there on the binders there entering the chicane.
Yeah, we've already seen a couple of guys come down from that front group, and there goes our leader. He's coming too. So all these guys deciding if this caution's going to come, I don't want to be messed up by it. So,
guys, I got a reference chat here, and this is mainly for you, Andre, with your team. What is this driver's name to you?
Lucas Hoitzma.
According to chat, let's go Lukey Bear. So if,
all right.
So if
I
you
mean,
want,
we can slap that on the car.
So if you want to use that going forth, call him Lukey Bear.
I
Lukey Bear.
Personally will not, but we can put it on the car.
All right, maybe get a teddy bear to put his name on the shirt or something. But Lukey Bear is in the pits right now, as is, I think that's Matt DeCiani as well.
Yeah, we have almost everyone from that top group that's pitted. It looks like Getter
Pearson
will stay out too, so it looks like he is really the only car that has stayed out through this whole thing.
Right.
So
remember, Getter stayed out about 4 laps longer than anybody else on the last stint. To what advantage that provides, I really don't have anything. If anything, it's more of a risk in my opinion, but maybe he just wants that little bit of extra security in the fuel cell.
yeah, the only advantage I could see by him staying out here is maybe if he's able to come down pit road and the caution comes out immediately. Maybe he ends up stealing the lead away with about a 35-second gap on Dyson right now. That obviously is a big risk, but you never know when that caution could come out if we do get one. So
yeah, I mean, if you're one of these, now let's talk cheesy and illegal stuff, guys. Not illegal like go in jail, but just make the admin upset that we're coming up with these ideas. If you really need a caution, do you just casually put your tires in the grass and try to raise the incident cap yourself? I guess you can't really do that too much because 21 will boot you out of the race.
yeah,
Sorry to cut you off there, Jeff. I was just going to say it's a very high risk for potentially no reward, because you're getting yourself
Yes.
up to 18, 19x. You leave yourself no room for error. If somebody gives you a bump, you're out of the race. And you might not even get close enough to cause the caution. So I would say absolutely.
And then you
not.
also could very well get put under investigation as well. So,
Wouldn't be the first time.
I like coming up with ideas. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, sometimes they get people in trouble, but in this circumstance, it wouldn't be me. So I guess that's all that matters there. Get her into the pit road. Now let's see. Of course, the jack's not going up on him. Now oh guys, we got to look at this. Race lead within a second now. Van de Sant's pit sequence was a modest bit faster. You can see a 60-second even pit sequence to a 59.3. The gap entering the pits was just below 3 seconds. Now it is, it's a second and growing now.
That's surprising to me, because when we saw Andrew Dyson with his first green flag stop, he sailed it into pit road. I mean, he nailed it. And I didn't think anybody was going to be able to get in better than him. But Van de Sant had a really good pit road entry, really good pit road exit, and it did close that gap a little bit. We'll see if this changes his pace. It's a little bit different when you can see the guy in front. Maybe not necessarily that you're copying his lines, maybe not necessarily that you're learning anything, but when you can see that guy, it's a whole different feeling. It's like, okay, I got a shot
Dyson
at this, and
is
start driving a little bit harder.
Dyson making mistakes.
Oh my goodness! Whoa!
There's some contact out there.
We got
We
got a barn burner on our hands now. Dyson, he's made 2 mistakes all race. The first one was kind of modest. The second one has given us the closest battle on track for the lead that we've had here this evening.
Van de Sant looking for a win. We know how good he is at these road courses. Really, last year came on, and that was one of the biggest things that we saw to him on road courses. And the biggest thing that I think is that a lot of these guys might not know, or might know, I know a lot of our people watching probably don't, he cuts his teeth in IndyCar racing, or sorry, open wheel racing. So
yeah, don't put a sensor out here.
And a lot of left and right turns. So similar to a Neil Pearson, similar to an Andrew Dyson, who come from that Australian supercar or road course side of racing. Alex Van de Sant comes right from that area as well. So both these guys come from road course backgrounds, still good on ovals, but mainly those road courses are where they shine.
Let me ask you guys this on a technicality standpoint. Van de Sant wins this race in a substitute car. I'm assuming he gets the driver's points and the team gets the team playoff prize for that, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the driver gets the driver points. The team is going to get the team points. And it's pretty straightforward there. I also want to say, Jeffrey, this is a great battle for the lead, but I think you have put Alexander Van de Sant at a disadvantage. You spray painted the number over his old number when you learned he was a fill-in. That spray paint sticks out more than that vinyl wrap, so you got him at an aerodynamic disadvantage there, Jeff.
Yeah, to me, I think what happened was he must have crashed it during warm-ups. And they had to go to John's backup and put that nice 7 on the
rear
car.
The rear deck lid.
He was supposed to be driving the Garage 56 entry tonight, so I think he just must have wrecked it during warm-ups and had to take the backup of John out.
Camera, trying to fix things.
I saw you with that rattle can out there. He wanted you to give him a paint scheme. You slapped a 7 on there with a rattle can and said you're good.
Hey, as long as you don't look at the back of the car or the front of the car, looks fine to me.
As long as you don't look at the part that's not good, it's pretty awesome.
That's like saying I cooked this amazing dinner, just don't eat the burnt part. But it's still a part of the plate.
And now look at this. He's falling back. This is all your fault, Jeff.
Oh, Pearson. Aussies are slipping here.
Right when we said we might not see a caution, we've now seen 3 or 4 incidents here of people going off track. So never say never at this point. I think everybody, minus a couple guys that we've noted already, like RJ Root, and there was at least 1 or 2 other guys, I think Schofield, outside that window to make it right now. But if these guys keep missing the track and going off track, we might finally get that caution that we've been waiting for.
Well, we have the opportunity, and while guys hopefully stay on track, let's go ahead and do a through the field here as we have 26 laps to go in tonight's affair. Andrew Dyson leading this from the pole, has led most every lap, has made a few mistakes to make this a little bit closer. Van de Sant now in second in that hodgepodge 6/7 car. Pat Gitter running in the third spot, solid run there. Pearson recovering from that mistake in the fourth spot. Old Lukey Bear running in fifth right now. John Delaney in sixth. Alex Murray in seventh. Long Matt Long in eighth. RJ Root in ninth. And Matt DeCiani in 10th. The way that the league does the things does not like my overlays, hence the names.
Yeah, the nicknames get a little bit messed up. P11, Trevor Ryan. He's gone on a few expeditions after the grass, but still running pretty decently. Robert Anderson in that number 5, powering through on this road course currently. P12, Derek Heitman was fighting for that last stage point earlier. He did get that stage point in 10th, but he slipped back to 13th now. Tanner Marty, he's going to be P14, and 15th is going to be SOB in that 24 car. And then we're going to get back to Blake Giglio here in 16th. In the 16th, a little bit of parity there. Jim Schofield in the 47.
Oh, caution.
And caution flies on the field.
And
that's going to be caution number 1 on the night.
That'll be our first SRX fun flag there, as the pace car will exit the pits there at a rapid pace. Again, on the road courses here on iRacing, it is as rare as a blue moon for there to be an incident-based full course caution. It can happen. The odds of it are super slim, so this will very 99.999% sure be our first incident-based caution of the race here. Now, from a pit strategy standpoint, I don't think it'll do anything. It'll let everybody preserve a little bit more fuel, but with tires meaning nothing, this basically is just again, kind of a fun flag, as they like to say on Thursday Night Thunder.
Yeah, this is huge for obviously just everybody to get caught up to the top couple, but also like someone like RJ Root that we thought was kind of outside that window, for someone like Schofield who we thought was outside that window, to save enough here and probably be able to make it. But a lot of cars lapped down. It looks like only 13 are on lead lap before our lucky dog.
Now what we'll do is we'll make sure that nobody comes to the pits, which we almost are 100% certain nobody will, at least of note up in the front. And then maybe we can have an interview perhaps with our race leader here and get a scope on how he feels with his confidence level. But I just don't want to interrupt any cycles here. Everybody getting gathered back up. You can see our top 13 here. Last car on the lead lap still has quite a ways to go to catch up to the pace car here. So sometimes here on these road courses, cautions do take a fair amount of time here. You can see he's still going full send, doesn't even have the field and pace yet.
Yeah, he's trying to get everybody bunched up, and we're still just trying to get caught up. And that's what's going to happen when you got the full field spread out across this very large road course. And leaders caught up, of course. Andrew Dyson behind the iRacing Porsche pace car, trying to get single file, and I believe pit road will be open when they go around. Was it open last time, or is it just open this time?
It should. Yeah, well, clearly it's open. Somebody's taking some service down there.
Okay, I would say that means they are not going to be pitting. So let me find our current race leader, if I can locate him. Maybe in one of the Indy chats.
Yeah,
yes,
5.
He is. All right. Mr. Dyson, Sandra up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, hey guys, how are you?
Well, Andrew, you are putting on a clinic out here. You swept both the stages. You had about a 2-second lead before this caution came out. How you feeling?
Yeah, pretty good, man. Just a matter of not making mistakes, and I should be good to go.
Yeah, mistakes have been kind of at a minimum for you. You locked it up a couple times there in the same corner, actually. You had 2 off-track excursions, and it was in that particular part of the track. Is that the trouble spot?
No, I think it's just operator error, really. I mean, I was trying to run a fastest lap I could when I went off the second time, and the first time I was probably a bit sort of daydreaming, I guess. So, yeah, lost focus, which doesn't help.
Yeah, you'll have that in these long green flag runs. Caution's obviously a bit of a premium tonight, but last question for you. What's the plan going forward? How are you going to cap this thing off?
Well, I'm going to start off by going as fast as I can.
Always a good plan.
And then I don't know, we'll see what the gap looks like and take it from there, if I can get a gap, that is.
All right, well, we got a minute here at least for you. You got to go back racing. Corey, Jeff, you guys got anything for Andrew?
Well, I don't want to curse him. I've been unlucky lately, so.
Go out there, hit your marks, and watch out for the grass.
Thanks, man. Yeah, grass is evil.
Yes, that it is. Thank you for your time, Andrew. Good luck.
Oh, good. Thanks, guys.
Grass is evil indeed, but sounds like he's pretty confident.
So,
just, go fast and see what happens.
So he was doing the Max Verstappen strategy. I saw that video scrolling around TikTok. I don't know when it actually happened, but they basically said, you have a gap, you've gotten a warning, you've gone off track, but you have a gap, just be cool. And then what does he immediately do the next time? Goes against all team orders and tries to run the fastest lap of the race. So kind of seeming to be what Dyson did there, but something else that he said of note is kind of daydreaming. And a lot of times when you have a big lead, it is very easy to just put it in cruise control mode. But with this many corners and this much finesse required, cruise control, as he experienced, sometimes is not enough to keep it on track.
Yeah, and one thing to note under that caution right there that is pretty big right now in a championship point situation is Blake Giglio has left the service. So I don't know what happened there. It doesn't look like he had any damage. It didn't look like the car was in peril. So backing out early here, that's going to cost them a decent amount of points and a decent amount of spots. So right when we were kind of looking at that possibility of him jumping in the top 25, that, he's still going to get a decent amount of points. Looks like he's going to probably finish about 24th, but it looks a lot better for someone like Neil Pearson, who's running 4th and has gotten a lot of stage points today.
Yeah, and he's already out of all radio comms. A lot of times when these guys have issues, they'll hop in the infield care center, allow us to have a word with them, but not the case there for Giglio. But the 1 to go signal has been given, so we will go back racing with 23 laps to go, I believe it is. And well, obviously Dyson had some pretty serious confidence in his interview, guys, but based on what we're seeing, I don't have the utmost confidence he's just going to drive away with his Van de Sant. If he can get a good restart, we know that he has the speed, and he hasn't made any mistakes. I think Dyson has the overall faster pace, but Van de Sant just has just enough to make it difficult for him.
Yeah, if he can get out front and just outbrake him going into turn 1, that's going to be the key moment. I'm not sure he's fast enough to pass him straight up after they get going and they get the temperature back in the tires. Very close. I'm not saying he's like far off pace or anything. It's just we haven't seen him pass tonight. So I think his best bet's going to be going down into turn 1, and then if he can put himself in that clean air and force Andrew Dyson into that unfamiliar situation of having to go on the offensive, that's going to be huge, because defending at this track is more than possible. We saw it earlier with Derek Heitman. He kept Matt Long at bay for, upwards of 6 or 7 laps. So, and the speed difference between them was bigger than what we're seeing between Dyson and Van de Sant. So it's going to be a very critical restart for the drivers on the front row. Also, one of those cars bobbing and weaving back there, John Delaney, keep an eye on him, because this is his first shot to really get back up front. Ever since his mistake early on in the race, he'll be on the inside of row 3, which will, I guess, actually technically be the outside, because he'll be turning right into the first corner. But either way, he's close enough that he could make a lunge, pick up a couple positions, and we know that at the start of the race, he was faster than Pearson, he was faster than Gitter, so I would expect him to be pretty aggressive. I don't expect Lucas to be very aggressive on this restart. The way he was talking going into this race, it was more just about, I want to have a good finish, want to have a good points day. And when you got that kind of mentality, I think sailing it in 3-4 wide maybe isn't very conducive to that kind of race day. But we'll see. I've been surprised before. Alex Murray also up in the fray here. He's been getting a little bit closer to the front, car after car, lap after lap, see what he can do. But overall, it's going to be a wild restart, because I think a lot of these guys know, hey, look, It took over half the race to get one incident-based caution. We're probably not going to get another one. They know it's their last shot, so they're going to drive it hard.
Yes, they will, as they enter the unofficial Geico restart zone here at the Indianapolis Road Course. They're tightening up as if it's the green flag for the initial start of the race, but it's going to be a very important restart here. Van de Sant trying to get that run from the outside lane. He will not get that at all. Dyson's going to get a very good jump here heading into turn number 1. That should be all the clearance he needs, but Van de Sant's going to have to fight to hold on to second.
These guys are going 3-4 wide going into turn number 1 here. They're going to send it. They're going to get as much as they can. Will there be contact? Yes, there will be. Multiple cars around, hitting each other. Who can make it through first?
More contact there, but that's going to be Delaney who got the worst end of that, as well as Jason Taylor there. I'll go back on replay and we'll see if we can get a top-down shot from it.
That number 6 in the center of a
Lukey
bit of a
Bear to the inside.
Lucas making it 3 wide with Matt Long on the outside.
Oh, yep.
And they just came together there. Whole lot of cars collected. The 24 SOB gets spun around.
Yeah, Delaney was just stuck. He could not evade at all. It was really just Hoytsma and Delaney there that got the worst end of it. I saw Gitter and somebody make contact at the top of the shot there, but nothing of sustenance there. So Pearson did get by Van de Sant actually as well. So we have an Aussie 1-2 right now. This is the highest that Pearson has been on the day from his starting spot of the 9th position. I don't know how that math works out there. Somebody's getting sideways there. Who is that? Was that Van de Sant? Yes, it was. What is going on right now? Is there oil on the track?
Oh, somebody else.
Brandon Pierce there.
And the caution is all we needed for some chaos to happen.
Van de Sant by himself.
Oh, looks like the car just unloaded.
And then
there.
Pierce
really
right here coming through as well. Here comes Pierce, literally doing the same exact thing.
Yeah, just going for a bit of a ride and then straightening back out. That was, I guess, you could say that the tire temps were a little bit lower from all the pacing. They probably were trying to run the same lines they were running on hot tires and just didn't work out. But teammates now 1-2, Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson, Patrick Gitter in third.
What's going on back there?
Oh boy,
what?
That's gonna be.
They are trying for a second caution. They are trying hard for a second caution.
Yeah, we're racking up the points, that's for sure.
And these are all self-spins, too, for the most part. Let's see here, coming through the chicane. Did he overcook the chicane there? I mean, he didn't really take it too hard there, but Tokyo Drift. Whoa, Schofield.
Oh, big hit for Schofield.
I think it was Lucas Hoytsma on the outside that just sailed by in the grass, just about. Big damage for Schofield. There goes Hoytsma, my goodness.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get it on board there from Lucas. This is not Lucas. This is Lucas.
I'm dropping the hammer.
No, you're not.
Dropping the hammer, going around in the grass. What a move that was.
Hey, you know what they say about wrecks?
Oh.
You want to get through them? Go where they are.
Tiziani and Murray there, they really looked like they drove into turn 1 rather aggressively there. I thought one of them was going to go off, but did not happen. A little lock up there from Murray through the, I think this is the 4-5-6 complex here, exiting 6 through the chicane down the back straightaway here. You can see Dyson has pulled away by now 4 seconds. Last time by 1.1 seconds faster than his teammate there.
Yeah, and this is just crazy to think about where before this caution happened, before we had this re-rack and restart, your second place driver, I think, was 5th. Patrick Gitter was up there towards the top 5, top 3 or so. I think Desiani was back there in 6th or 7th. He's now 4th. Murray was about 7th or 8th. He's now 5th. So a lot of these guys that were up front, like Van de Sant, like Delaney, like Hoytsma, that were up front in that top 5, now back there just struggling to hold a top 10 spot after that contact and that whole chaos on the restart.
And it looks like Matt Desiani sets his best lap on lap 61, which was just a lap ago. Let's see what it is this time for Desiani.
Even better.
1:27.9. That is an incredible lap.
Now, before we start boasting him quite admirably here,
that is a decent lap from DeCiani.
and then look at Gitter as well, right there within a couple hundredths of the race leader. The unfortunate part for Gitter is he's not as consistent, and he's also 4.7 seconds back. But the track is definitely speeding up here. Let's see what the track temp has. We were at a peak of 119. We have gone back to 115, I think roughly where we started, as we've elapsed to 3:18 virtual time here.
Yeah, and Dyson, as this track gets cooler, your times are going to pick up dramatically. This track is very, very, very weather sensitive, so as these guys had that opportunity to cool their tires down a little, get a little bit more of a cleaner track, I would say. For Dyson, who was having to pass lap traffic every other lap, it seemed like he's now out there all by himself. He can run these clean laps like we saw him running at the start of the race. And with only about 20 laps to go, it's going to be tough, I think, for anybody to get to him and pass him, especially if we don't get another caution.
Yeah, that's a pretty big advantage, 4.5 seconds currently, and then Patrick Gitter closing in on Pearson could potentially make that a bit of a battle, which is just going to slow them down even more if that were to transpire. Looking down the...
Thought Murray was going to send it, but DeCiani seemed to struggle a little bit on the brakes there, but will enter the corner just fine. Just behind that, a little three-way battle with Root, who has got himself back into the top 10, a good spot in 7th for him. Bobby Anderson in 8th, who's had a quiet yet modest run in 8th, and then Derek Heitman, who's kind of been all around the top 10 today and out of it at some points. He is now back to the 9th spot. Van de Sant in 11th, and then you have John Delaney in 12th. So remember, Delaney has had a fair amount of issues today of different capacities. Now just outside of the top 10, and then Van de Sant in 11th. We'll see. They have to at least get back in the top 10. They each need to gain roughly 6 to 7 seconds just to even get back in the top 10 to Lucas Hoytsma.
Yeah, we talked about the team points going into the race, and we mentioned how Apex was pretty comfortable with their lead. But I'll tell you what, this has not been a good points night for Apex. They've got 2 cars in Delaney and Van de Sant that should be top 5 cars, and they're struggling to hold on to the top 10, 11th and 12th respectively currently. And then Jason Taylor, SOB, both involved in incidents. They're not even in the top 15, so it's a bad points day for them and a good points day for Dirty South, who they're primarily worried about. And then, of course, Team Conti as well. They were in 3rd in points. Not a good points day for them. They got nobody left on track, so this has been maybe one of the biggest shakeups as far as team points in a few weeks, and Apex feeling the brunt of that.
That's what these road courses do, is SOB getting some serious airtime there, both on screen and vertically there, as he was trying to close in on Schofield there. Looks like Hoytsma may be closing in on Anderson as a potential battle. But still, the best battles are in the top 5 right now, with DeCiani and Murray separated by just a few tenths, as well as the battle for 2nd, where Gitter is trying to break up the Aussie 1-2 and get by Pearson there. Again, all this now 5+ seconds back from the leader. Gitter so much harder on the binders there, entering 12, and paid the price for it on exit.
Yeah, and if you're Gitter right now, you're trying to get as many points as possible for Team Conti as the only real guy out here at this point for them. So he's trying to just keep them in the picture. That's all it takes with these team points, is to stay in the picture. Last year we saw Silver Bullet Racing come out here, be way behind, I think at this point of the season, probably 300 or 400 points back, and they made a hell of a battle up to end up winning the championship in team points. So at this situation of the season, you might look at this and say, they have 100 points over Dirty South, they have almost 400 over Team Conti. There's no way they have, Team Conti has a chance with 400 points back. But if you can have all 4 drivers show up and Apex and Dirty South have a few drivers miss races. That 400-point gap can easily be cut into with still about 13 races left and 14 left in the season. So it's going to be interesting to watch here, see how hard these guys are going to race each other. And if anybody starts making those disappearing acts, as we said, Cam Stone getting suspended, Kevin Steele not racing tonight, and I think I heard that he won't be racing next week either. I think Van Descent will be replacing him both tonight and next week. So getting the right people to fill in these cars is really important when you're racing for that team championship.
Exactly right about that. Is this 22 hooking that curve? We've seen him do it a couple times, and I don't know, it doesn't seem to get the car too unsettled, but anything I know about road course racing makes me a little bit nervous when they do, because that car could just step out on him. Here we go. Fourth position, Patrick Gitter has closed the gap entirely to Neil Pearson, threatening this Dirty South 1-2. He is at the rear bumper, but as we've established, passing not exactly the most easy thing to do at the Indy Road Course. Sometimes you just got to wait for the right opportunity, or if that opportunity doesn't show itself, sometimes you take matters into your own hands and you pull a Matt Long and you just kind of muscle somebody out of the way. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. Here's two cars that have both been at various
This is a battle
issues.
for position, by the way. This is an active battle, 20th and 21st, both 2 laps down.
And they both had their fair share of issues, and now they find themselves battling for this position just outside the top 20. Looks like the Double O is going to concede the position just a little bit slower through that section. Gives Jason a little bit of breathing room. I see some smoke from one of the cars ahead.
Delaney in the pits.
With tires.
Now, let's see. I just want to quickly scroll back and see if there was anything to instigate this. It doesn't appear at all. I mean, there was nothing really to show there on replay, so did he cut it too early on the fuel meet, on the pit cycle there?
I don't think so. I think at this point he might be just coming down pit road to call it quits, maybe.
I mean, he
Fuel-wise,
only
he should have
lost.
made it,
He only
so-
lost 2 positions, so it could have been a situation. I mean, it's kind of confusing because I've been in situations before as a driver where the car is just so bad that I just want to pit and get new tires on it so I don't wreck the thing. But based on what we've been told, that tires don't really mean anything. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe tires are starting to slip a little bit. Maybe he just wanted fresh rubber, only lost 2 spots. It'll give him more comfort to drive the last 14 laps and knowing that there's not much on the table to gain.
Yeah, that could be the case if he's not having a fun time trying to wheel that car around. Maybe the grip levels had fallen off just a little bit, or...
Well, yeah, look at this.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, he's running a 128.9. His best lap's a 127 flat, so, I mean, some of that, of course, is going to be down to the track temp changing dynamically, but, yeah, I mean, that could be tire wear. I mean, I'm surprised that it is, because everything that iRacing has done for the last couple of years should tell us there is no tire wear on road courses, but it seems to be. I mean, if you look all through the field, Neil Pearson, 128.4.
Yeah, and they were just setting flyers about maybe 5 laps ago, and now we're...
So they might matter.
Cue our driver team coach here, who knows more about pedals and turning than we do. Are you confuzzled?
I am a little. Just because, like you said, we saw these guys run some of their best laps within the last 5 laps. So, you know, Dyson gained back a little bit of time that last lap. It looked like he might have had an issue because he went from running, you know, high 27.9s or around there to a 28.1 and then dropped all the way to a 28.9. So he lost about 8 tenths in 1 lap. Got 3 of those tenths back that last lap. So maybe he's just sliding a little bit too much as we see the track temp a little bit down from where it was, but looks like all these guys are kind of settled in that mid 28, 128 bracket right now. A couple guys running 3s right now, but for the most part, we're on a 28.5 is where you'll see most of these guys.
Now the gap was closer to 5 seconds. It is now down below 4, and that could have just been attributed to maybe the little mistake. Murray is just going at it for this 4th spot, and will cost himself there. Again, like I said earlier, you have to be better at the right spots on the track, and taking a risky move there and sacrificing your straightaway speed may not have been the best move there, but he'll see if he can recap some of that speed. Matt Long starting to make some headway here. He was almost 2 seconds faster than Murray, and them battling has allowed him to close on it, and he's running some good times there in that 97 Dirty South Mustang. So you don't be surprised Matt Long can sneak himself out of top 5 here with 12 to go. 13.
Yeah, I mean, those 13 laps are going to take a while here at a road course. It's not like an oval where they're going to go by in the blink of an eye. So he's got time to gain a little bit more position and continue to improve, hit his mark, see what he can do. He's right on the bumper of DeCiani. I mean, just a little bit later in the brakes, closes the gap, gets a good exit. But again, it's just going to be a matter of hoping that DeCiani slips up a little bit. He puts 2 tires into the grass, and look at that. 2 drastically different lines. You had Derek Heitman entering high and just apexing the corner, and then you had a very shallow entry from the 7. It was kind of a scary shot. I thought they might be making contact, but they were able to stay apart. It looks like Heitman maintains the advantage, and you just got to think Van de Sant, Delaney, these teammates got to be really frustrated with the way this night's gone, because they definitely had podium-capable cars. But long green flag runs punish mistakes, and they made mistakes. Andrew Dyson, Neil Pearson, they haven't.
Well, Dyson has made some mistakes, but they just haven't been enough to detriment too much here. As looks like there goes Van de Sant into the wall, but he hit the wall and still made the pass, so that doesn't happen too often.
We were talking about cars falling off on pace, maybe tire wear coming in action. Andrew Dyson just ran a 127.9 again, so maybe he got a little bit out of rhythm.
And daydreaming again.
He's back into it though, and John Delaney ran a 128.27 with those new tires, so looks like Dyson may be back in his rhythm and back driving away 4.5 seconds up on his teammate.
Yeah, what's dangerous for Andrew, for you competitors here in the playoffs, is there is a road course at a very, very pivotal time in the playoffs. I think it's at the end of the 2nd round. You can fact check me on that, but the Charlotte Roval. So if Dyson can sneak himself through the 1st round, which this would be, what, 3 wins on the season, I think, if he pulls this one off? Give her 2?
2 technically, as the Chicago one did not count.
So it'd be 2 official wins. Imagine if it was 3. He'd basically just have to, slide himself through the 1st round, and then you have, I mean, at this rate, it's almost a gimme in the 2nd round. So, but either way, these guys are going to have to watch out for that, because this could easily propel Dyson far in the playoffs, and he has the speed, as we talked about in the opening, Grassy getting far out of the way. Dyson, he's not just a road course ringer anymore. He has really stepped the game up, as has Neil. On the ovals as well, to be an all-around threat in the series.
I think a big part of that has been them guys running Friday night a lot more than they used to last year, at least. Running Friday nights, getting that experience, driving around these other guys, and just learning how to really master oval tracks. And every week we see them up front on a Friday night, and that translates to Saturday night most of the time. So, like you said, if they can get through that 1st round, if Neil Pearson can hold on to that cut line and end up squeaking his way into the chase, and then Dyson gets through that, or both of them gets through that 1st round, it could be all up in the air going into the Roval, because, like you said, both of them have run so good on road courses that they could just need to win that one race if they don't point their way in through the ovals.
Into the chase. What is this, 2004, Jeff?
I'll call it the chase forever.
Chase, playoff. I mean, I agree. We're not playing anything. We're racing. So, I mean, I never understood the playoff name other than, hey, let's try to sound like sports, because maybe then we can trick people into watching. In the meantime, though, you're right. Andrew Dyson has been really good on the road courses and also on the ovals, and that's what makes him so dangerous. Is, he's kind of got these guaranteed good finishes when we come to the old road courses, but then we go to an oval, and he's still good. I mean, he's up there. He's running in the top 5, top 10, contending for wins even, and you just can't count him out anywhere. So he's definitely been a bit of a powerhouse. Neil Pearson as well. Maybe not quite as quick on the ovals as Dyson, but still formative and very, very quick. So Dirty South as a whole, I mean, they're whatever they got going on in their operation, they're doing something right, and it's showing right now as they are running 1-2. Patrick Gitter at one point had closed the gap. He got to the rear bumper of the 62, but over the last few laps, that gap has gone back up. I don't know if the 62 just saw Patrick Gitter get a little bit closer and said, all right, time to take it up a notch.
These two are just glued.
Yeah, they've not been able to get around each other. Alex Murray, like I said, it's about waiting for the 4 to make a mistake or getting aggressive. Now, Alex Murray, no stranger to getting aggressive. I would not be surprised if he's still this close on the last lap. He might make a move. He might muscle him out of the way. But in the meantime, just kind of riding behind the 4 and taking a bit of a wider corner entry there. That helps him close the gap. And I think overall just better lines through this portion that helps him stay right there. But if you want to make the pass, getting a good run out of this corner would be huge. And it looks like DeCiani gets a better run, so he's got a little bit more breathing room. You can see gap to DeCiani, 0.3 seconds when they come down into this heavy braking zone. Let's see who's going to outbrake who. Alex Murray and DeCiani pretty much on the brakes at the same time, but Alex Murray a little bit more careful on that brake pedal, closing the gap into the right, left, and then the double right-hander. Doing everything he can, just not enough.
Yeah, we talked about it when we saw Heitman and Matt Long racing each other hard earlier in the race. It's just so difficult to pass somebody. You can be faster than them, you can get to them, but passing them is a different story. We saw Matt Long have to use the stiff arm move down to the turn 1 earlier in the race. Not sure if Alex Murray would be willing to do that move right now, as he has a win. He's locked in the championship playoffs right now. DeCiani not winning, he hasn't won this year, but points wise he's pretty much a lock as well. So both these guys good on points, good on making the playoffs. It would just really be coming down to finishing 4th today, 4th or 5th at this point for them.
See there, just a little reminder of the point standings on screen, and Pearson get that plus 22, which a second place effort with stage points to boot. I don't quite remember the exact stage positions for him, but they were very likely in the top 5 at very least. So be a good run. Of course, heading into Watkins Glen next week, a track that a road course that is more or less the easiest of the bunch. Track that everybody knows, really only 7 true turns. So next week I would expect, obviously today Dyson and Van de Sant really, even Delaney, just kind of classes of the field, of course, to varying levels of success. But when you go to Watkins Glen, you kind of expect the threshold of drivers that have a chance to kind of expand quite a bit, just with how relatively simple that track is.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Watkins Glen. Like you said, it's a track that almost all these guys know, because you've basically grown up with it. NASCAR has run there for so long. If it's been the old configuration or the one they currently run with the bus stop and not running the boot, it's a track that we all know how to run. We all know how to run at. We all know how dangerous some parts of that track is. It's not as much as a road ringer type of racetrack because of how often we race there. So you could see someone like a Derek Heitman, who won there last year. He could pull off a win and make his way into the playoffs next week. Or you could see a Delaney come out there. You could see a Dyson dominate again like he has tonight. It really just depends on who puts in the time, who puts in the practice, and who's consistent enough next week at Watkins Glen to see who's going to make it to victory lane.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Watkins Glen is so unique as a road course because it is relatively straightforward, like Corey said. Not too complicated. I'd say the bus stop's probably the most technical part, but stop and go, slow speed corners, consistent braking zones. It definitely opens it up, and I think it makes the competition that much closer all throughout the field. So that'll be a fun one to watch. But speaking of things that are fun to watch, this little gaggle of cars right here, you got Lucas Hoytsma Alexander Van de Sant, RJ Root, these three cars have been following each other around the track for a while. Now it looks like Lucas, maybe he's a little bit tired of doing the following. He's going to dive down to the inside of Root, taking that shallow entry, locks up the left side. Contact puts Root in the grass. That's going to allow Van de Sant by. Root gets back on the track, but I tell you what, these boys better hope Root don't get back up there because he ain't going to forget that one.
No, he will not. And there goes Van de Sant down to the inside of Lucas Hoytsma there. He's going to go 2 positions up in the course of about a quarter of a lap there. But there comes RJ going full send and couldn't quite get back there.
And that corner right there is probably one of the easiest ones to get a 2-for-1 deal that we just saw Van de Sant get, because that car on the inside is going to drive it in a little deeper. They're going to probably lock up the brakes, and that's what we saw from Hoytsma. He now drops, or he's still in 8th place. He was trying to get 7th from Root, so Root drops 2 spots. Hoytsma stays 8th, and Van de Sant drives up to 7th as he tries to continue to gain back spots after that restart chaos.
Again, these races like this become very, very easy to just gloss over the winner. Well, I'm foreshadowing the leader of the race, because when someone just does what Dyson is doing, you just kind of go focus off on other things, and you kind of lose focus on the accomplishment at hand here. Let's check the laps led statistics. 71 out of 76, so again only about 5-6 laps or so. He has not led in all of those via the cycle. Of course, he had those 2 off-track incidents, one of which cost him 2 seconds, one of which almost cost him the entire lead. But of course, he has after that restart, he got the advantage and has since pulled away over his teammate. See John Delaney there. He is now just in front of Neil Pearson. And he's just pulling out of the way, so I'm not too sure what happened to the 6 car, but now 6 seconds, and even Pearson has about 1.5 seconds of buffer now over Gitter. So as long as Pearson can run steady, consistent laps, he has a fair stranglehold on 2nd.
Delaney is struggling with a very free car right now. It looks like every other lap that I see him coming off these turns, he is wheeling the hell out of it for sure. So not sure if the track changed a little bit or if he maybe made an adjustment, possibly took tires by accident. I know a couple guys tonight, I've already seen that they've taken tires by accident, and it's really messed up the handling of their car. So not sure what happened with Delaney. He had the speed. Obviously there was contact on the restart, but not enough that I think that he would drop off this much. So tough deal for him, but like we said, he's got enough wins and he's got enough points built up that it's not going to hurt him too much today.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a good cushion going into the playoffs. All those race wins and stage wins have gotten him pretty well set, and that's one of the decent things about this format is it does reward your performance earlier in the season, and well, he's performed, that's for sure. It is a little bit weird how that car seems to have faded, because again, when this race began, you know, we saw him up there battling with Andrew Dyson. He was close enough to reel him in. I gotta wonder if something didn't somehow get bent on that car. Maybe he picked up some damage we didn't see, because he's just so far off pace compared to what we saw before. It's strange. I would have expected him to at least get back up inside the top 5, and that has not happened. He's all the way back there in 14th. He's lapped down. You've got Alexander Van de Sant. You know, he made mistakes as well. He's up there in 7th. So, you know, it's just strange to see. But Patrick Gitter in that 21 machine right in front of John Delaney trying to hold on, but everybody just kind of single filed. Neil Pearson, Patrick Gitter is 3rd, so obviously not the same lap as John Delaney, but this battle hasn't changed. We've still got Murray kind of stalking behind the number 4, Matt DiCiani, trying to figure out how he's going to get around him. And if these guys can catch up to John, and they have been catching up, this could affect the battle. I don't think John's going to give him a hard time necessarily, but on a track this narrow, even if the guy tries to let you go, it's still going to affect the battle. It's going to hold you up in some form or fashion, and that might be all it takes. So this could get pretty interesting here with only 4 to go.
You know, we've had basically, if there's a situation on track we need something to talk about, we just focus on the 4 and the 22, and they somehow manage to be within close proximity. And this is a tough part of the track to catch a slower car. Very rare to say that about Delaney. But you can see him just getting so free on corner exit. I think he's really overcooked those rear tires in whatever capacity that they do. He's going to pull off to the right side of the track and get out of the way. Looks like Murray able to close to that 3/10, but that's where he kind of stalls. And I think some of that may be the aero. Maybe he's burning those front tires, heating them up a little bit too much. And then he falls back, cools them off, gets back at it. But as we've seen a few times here today, I think he's just going to have to do the old send it if he's going to want to make something happen. But at the same time, you don't want to take chances here, as I think Derek Heitman may have just got around RJ Root for the 9th spot.
Yeah, Root dropping off now. I don't know if that contact kind of messed up his tires. Maybe he's just losing control of the car, but we only got 3 laps to go at this point. So, you know, these guys are going to get as many spots as they can with only 3 to go. The chances of another yellow coming out very low, I would say, at this point. So if you can get somebody, you might as well just try to send it and grab them before we finish this race.
Or on the complete inverse of just try to not, you know, for the most part, other than a few positions, most everybody's well cemented. So at this point, for most of the field, it's kind of just let me not screw this up and just, you know, kind of accept my fate.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to throw anything away, but at the same time, I feel like most of these drivers are so far separated. If they made a mistake trying to make an overtake and they kind of lost a little bit of time, they could probably risk that, and they probably wouldn't lose much time. I mean, Matt Long and Alexander Van de Sant, they're 2 seconds apart. Alex Murray's 5 seconds from the car behind and 3 seconds from the car ahead. So a lot of separation can kind of change the way you view things, but this 0-4 machine, I mean, just dominant all night long. 2 laps to go, no pressure from behind. I would not be surprised if we see his pace just fall off a little bit on these last couple laps, just because you don't want to make any mistakes, don't want to be daydreaming, as he would say, and he can afford to slow down a little bit, take it easy, and just drive to the checkered flag at this point, try and get another win. And oh my goodness,
you'd think it was, I mean, we joked about a fun flag. We don't mean that literally. It is algorithmic. But a caution with about maybe a half a lap, not even a half a lap to the white flag.
This is crazy. This changes everything. Green, white, checkered. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's wow. we were seconds away from taking the white flag. It would have made the race official, and the algorithmic caution comes out, and that's there's going to be a lot of desperate drivers that see a potential win. And
Arnie, aren't you supposed to hang off the edge of the flag stand? But
and turn one's going to be a fun place, I'll tell you that.
Well, the beauty of this from a Dyson perspective is he does have control. There is no official restart zone here. You guys can correct me on that, but there's no Geico restart zone here as there is in the real world. So he does have a lot more control of when to go. So as long as he doesn't get any wheel spin, he does have his teammate beside him. But as long as he can get a modest start, I really don't think anybody's going to go full send it. But it just depends. We've seen mistakes happen.
So I don't want to jinx anyone, because we've seen how that happens tonight so far. We got a green-white checkered now. That means more laps. And that means that some of these guys that pitted as soon as the window opened, they might be looking at their fuel number right now going, this isn't good. Matt Long, for one, he pitted on 51. I think both our leaders, our top 2 right now, they pitted on 51 too. So
Gitter has an extra lap. He's on lap 29 in his stint. Most everybody, including the top 2, are 30. You have Van de Sant and Heitman, who are 31. They are the longest stretched drivers. So this should, we're on lap 82 right now, so this would be the checkered normally. If we get one to go, then we would go green on 84, and that means we'd be running till the end of 85. So that would stretch us about 34 to 35 laps or so. But you do have the cautions to facilitate.
Yeah, and luckily for these guys, they were able to catch the pace car quick, so they don't really have to worry about that. Some of these other guys are still going basically full throttle to try to catch the back of the field. Jim Schofield, the 24 of Sean O'Brien, Wayne Grassy, Pierce,
just
Trevor
now catching
Ryan,
up.
they're just sending it to get the back of the field. So those 2 guys, 3 guys, whatever, they aren't even having the chance to save fuel because they're going to catch the field, and we're probably going to get the 2 to go right here as we see a couple guys dropping off the pit road.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like you said, these added laps, I mean, how many drivers did we see come down as soon as that window opened? It was quite a few, and now that window has been extended. So they got to come in, get some extra fuel, and
Heitman, Anderson, Long. So they were those drivers. Now Long was 30 laps, Heitman was 31. So interesting to see Long pit. Long is on the same fuel length right now as your race leader in second place. So maybe now let me just try to take a look here. So we had 14 guys. Delaney's going to get the free pass. So we'll have 14 on the lead lap. So maybe if you're end of the top 10, maybe just why not take the sure thing? You're not going to have enough of a net loss, and you risk you not having to run out. So we'll see.
Yeah, the other benefit of coming down pit road and topping off here is, one, like you said, you have a full tank of fuel now. You don't have to worry about the possibility of another green-white checkered messing up your calculations. But you might put yourself in a position where, if you're running 10th and there's only 14 on the lead lap, you go and look at it and say, I don't think I'm going to gain any more spots. I'm just going to ride going into turn 1 and hope everybody in front of me wrecks each other. And you gain a couple spots out of that. I know we saw that on that last restart we had. We went to turn 1 and a couple cars got spun around. Some guys got through it better than others, and they gained 3, 4, 5 spots out of it. So if you think there's going to be chaos here, which I think a lot of these guys on the comms right now are kind of expecting that, you might as well just sit back, let them wreck, and take whatever you can.
Yeah, it's not an easy choice to make. I mean, the driver in you says, be aggressive, capitalize on this, get around the guy if you can. But then the more logical side of your brain kicks in and you think, yeah, maybe I should just try to kind of put myself in the safest position I can get in, get as far away from these guys as possible. And if I lose a few positions, that's fine, because if I get aggressive and there's a massive pileup and I'm in it, well, then I'm going to lose more than just a couple positions. I'm going to lose a lot. So it's definitely tough. Obviously, I think Dyson's going to have a big advantage. Corey mentioned there is no proper Geico restart zone, so that would mean that it's almost a guarantee he's going to get clear into the lead. He's not going to have anybody side by side with him as they go down into the corner, but that does not mean that the drivers behind him aren't going to drive it in a little bit deeper and force a side by side situation. Or it doesn't mean that somebody behind him locks it up and then slides into him. It's still a very nervous situation, even if you are the leader, even if you have control over the field like he's going to have. So it's there's a lot to think about for these drivers.
Now, I want to relate this maybe in an incorrect way to the Charlotte Roval the first couple of years we ran it in the real world, where you enter turn 1, which is a heavy braking zone, with a different amount of speed than you ever will otherwise. And we haven't had a lot of restarts here, so you're not entering turn 1 at full pace because of where the restart is. You're entering a little slower, so it does open the door for, how hard can I go into the corner? Am I going to drive it in a little harder or a little softer? So that does throw some people out of their game here, especially when you're going to be a little aggressive. Kind of having that slightly different speed entering the corner can definitely throw off the braking, and when you're throwing off the braking, you never know what could happen.
Yeah, especially with the way this car is. I mean, back before Cameron Stone got banned, it seems like every time we went to a road course, he was saying, the brakes on this car are not consistent, and you hear it from other drivers as well. It's kind of weird sometimes. You put the seemingly same amount of pressure on the brake pedal that you did last time, and the car reacts differently. And that's, of course, going to change when they're not really using their brakes pacing around this track right now. So the brake rotors are cooling down. That's going to kind of change the effectiveness, probably make them a little bit more effective than when they're overheated. So it's going to be different. And if these guys are overthinking their line going into the corner, if they're overthinking their braking zone, that could lead to some trouble for sure.
Yeah, this is going to be an amazing deal, I think.
And hopefully everybody finishes this thing out and doesn't take a good race and have some, issues and cause some aggressive behaviors after the race. We've seen some guys get very, very upset in some of these races, of course, with the competition level how it is. So let's take a good race and still finish it as a good race. We don't need any we don't want to flip it upside down here in the 10th inning. But coming through the final few corners here at Indianapolis, and again, the restart zone essentially opens up once the pace car pulls in, and it basically finishes once Barney waves the green flag. So unless the league has tightened it up, which I don't think they have, Dyson has a ton of wiggle room, so it's going to be very hard for Pearson. But Gitter, if he can try to read it, I think he has 1 or 2 lap speed. If he can stay close, he can kind of match Dyson on lap times, but let's see what happens.
Yeah, I feel like there's a couple drivers up here that, maybe they're not as consistent as Andrew Dyson has been, but they can throw a Hail Mary and they can turn a lap as fast as him, at least a time or two. So that's all they really need to do at this point. It's going to be a green-white checkered, so if they can just string together a couple of perfect laps, that'll be the difference between walking away with a trophy and walking away with nothing but a few points out of the final road.
We're stacking it up.
He is stacking the field up, getting a bump from Patrick Gitter, and he is going to be out and away. Maybe
Pearson
not
did a really good job there.
He did. He's going to be side by side on the outside, Pearson, and Andrew Dyson on the inside, having to take the defensive line, shallow entry. Everybody behind him scrambling for position, 3 wide back in row 3. Dyson maintains the lead. Pearson in second, closes the gap right to the bumper. Everybody somehow survives turn 1. I would not have predicted that in a million years. Hey, these two found each other again. Alex Murray, Matt DeCiani, still bumper to bumper, even through everything that's happened. Heading down into the chicane. Does everybody get through the chicane? That's going to be the question. Looks like they will. Onto this long middle straightaway. Somebody's in the grass. That may be Tanner Marty.
Yes, it is. All right, someone hard on the binders there. That's Alex Murray in the 22 to the inside of Matt DeCiani. Surprise, surprise, they find themselves together. I think DeCiani will take the upper hand here, headed through the technical bit here towards the end of the track. And if you are a Dyson fan, the best thing that you have in your rearview mirror is your teammate there. Of course, he wants to win, but I don't think he's going to do anything egregious for it here as we close in, and hopefully not going into double overtime here through the last couple corners.
Yeah, these guys have been beating and banging the hell out of each other mid-pack, so it looks, knock on wood, that we're not going to have another caution, but it's going to take him coming to the white flag before we see if he does or not.
So far, so good.
Sideways, Pearson got a little help from Patrick Gitter. Patrick said, "I got to go, buddy," and gave him a nudge, but he was not able to get clear. So down into the corner at the quarter panel now. He's going to have to drive it in a little bit deeper if he wants to make this move. White flag is in the air. Race is official. Next flag will end it, and Pearson's able to fend off that 21. But here he comes, crossover back to the other side of the car. Again, not able to do it, but he is getting so aggressive. Here comes another push through the corner. This may be something. No, he's not going to be close enough through the chicane. I was going to say it may be something, but Pearson able to get away through the chicane, down the back straightaway once again, diving it up to that outside, using a little bit of the slipstream. Dyson still way away from the field. The battle is for second. 21 not able to get there.
Well, coming through the final few corners here at the Indianapolis Road Course from the pole position, Andrew Dyson started today's race and again led all but maybe 5 to 6 laps of this race. As perfect of a race as it could have been with green flag pit cycles at play. Made a couple of mistakes, including one right here. Is this going to be enough? Is this going to be enough? Here comes his teammate Pearson. Takes the lead. Final corner. He made 2 mistakes, and now he makes 3, and it's going to cost him the race. It's going to go to this teammate here. Neil Pearson on the mistake is going to take advantage of the situation and put himself in the playoffs with a win at Indy.
The same corner. He messed it up twice before. And unfortunately, on the last lap, not enough time to compensate for the loss of that.
Andre, you just put it in your soundboard.
Hold on.
Have you ever? No, I've never.
And Dyson is I mean, if it's gonna happen, I mean, at least it went to your teammate, and there were some doings afoot there later on, but let's go ahead and
again, I mean, just the same exact mistake we saw 2 other times. Just got a little too hot into the corner, car pushed tight, and then once you get into the grass, I mean, it just pulls you in. There's nothing you can do.
He led 1 lap this entire race. And
I think that is the only lap that Neil Pearson, or that Andrew Dyson didn't lead. That wasn't a result of the pit sequence.
Now I saw something here. This is we're still on replay, and then let's begin our post race show. I did see something here. We know that cooldown follies is not allowed in the league. It is highly reprimanded, and I just want to see if I did actually see something of sustenance here. You can see Dyson starting his lack there of excitement there, and then there's Gitter behind. Yeah.
I would say that's probably an accident. I mean, Dyson was kind of drifting around the corner. I don't know if Gitter really... it's hard to say that was intent. I don't know why they'd have a problem with each other, because Gitter and Dyson never saw each other on the track.
So, back-to-back Indy Road Course victories for Neil Pearson. He's going to be as surprised as we are on this one, as he burns it down here, and he'll kiss the bricks for the 2nd consecutive year here in absolute thrilling and unexpected fashion. But while he gets ready to celebrate his victory, let's go down and give you the final rundown of results here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. With the... one of these days, this is going to work. There we go. Neil Pearson is going to win this race by 0.6 over his teammate who botched it in the final corner. Pat Gitter with a 3rd, Matt DeCiani in 4th, Alex Murray in 5th, Lucas Hoitzma, good recovery in 6th. Van de Sant, remember, he had some serious speed, but some issues brought him back to 7th. Heitman Anderson and RJ Root, your top 10.
Just looking outside the top 10. John Delaney is going to finish 11th in that number 6 machine. Tanner Marty, he was in the grass, but he brings it home and inside the top 12. And Matt Long at 13th after battling so much of that race 4 position. Trevor Ryan going to bring it home 14th in the 18 machine. SOB going to bring it home 15th. Jim Schofield in 16th. 17th, Mark Padgett. Brandon Pierce, 18th. Alex Princeton, 19th. And 20th, running it out, is going to be Jason, nobody calls him Jedi, Taylor.
Randy Drumhiller in 21st, Wayne Grassy 22nd, Damaris Hickenbottom 23rd, and then the cars that did not finish the race today: Blake Giglio 24th, Dalton Mobley in 25th, Jeff Chandler 26th, Kyle Ammon in 27th, and Rob Tracy only making 1 or 2 laps tonight will finish 28th.
So we'll head down to Victory Circle here at, well, I guess the Pagoda here. I'll see what his milk of choice is. Maybe we'll ask him that in Victory Lane. We'll get everybody staged up for interviews here, and I'll head right down, waste no time, head to Victory Lane with Neil Pearson. Let's see how surprised he is to be where he is on the evening. Let me drag him up into this booth with us. Well, Neil, are you as surprised as we are right now that we're talking to you here on top of the podium?
I am, actually. Did you guys just hear that?
So Andrew, he made 3 mistakes all race that we caught anyways, and they all were in that final complex, kind 12, 13, and 14. Went wide there. He had enough of a lead. You didn't really have pressure on him. Was there anything on the comms about him having maybe some issues there with the setup, or you may think he just lost focus?
He was trying for fastest lap. He wanted that fastest lap, and thought he could. He just said that he on his best lap that he did, he messed up there quite badly. So he was trying to. He was 2 tenths up going in there, so he was just trying to get all he could and slid off. I was like, what on earth,
Well,
I'm just shocked because it's not like him to make those sort of mistakes.
Yeah, risk versus reward, and I mean it works out in your favor, and it takes the pressure off. Of course, next week Watkins Glen, everyone was going to have you right up there, but now you have yourself punched in. You don't have to worry about that playoff bubble. You can just kind of rest easy the next few races. How's that going to feel for you heading in and to Daytona and Watkins Glen?
Well, it actually relieves a lot of stress because I can't actually make Daytona. So it's, I've got my Bucks party that weekend. So it's going to be good. It's locked in and, hopefully now just focus on the playoffs. I keep calling it the chase, and go from there and make some moves in there.
Yeah, and of course we were talking to you guys have that race in the second round. If you can get through the first round, you get the Roval in the second round. So your road course prowess coming in. But we also talked about last question. You guys have really picked up the oval game lately. You're not just road course ringers anymore. You're a top 10 car on an oval any day of the week. So does that give you even more confidence that maybe you can do something with this playoff position?
Oh, definitely. And Darlington and Bristol especially, they're some of my favorite tracks, and I had some really good runs earlier on in this year there, so I'm really pumped for round 1 and hoping I can make it through to round 2.
All right, well, it doesn't matter how you sip the milk in victory late at Indy. You did it. You're going to do it here today, so congrats, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks guys. It's 2 years in a row, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, exactly that. You got a streak going, man. Congrats.
That's it.
And now second place, who wants the agony of defeat?
I suppose I'll take it.
All right, Andre with Andrew Dyson.
All right, Mr. Dyson, you got a copy?
Hey man, gotcha.
Well, Andrew, I asked you. I said, is that the trouble spot? You assured me it wasn't. And then it happened.
It's operator error again. Again, trying to do a fast lap. So I came in there like 2 tenths up on my previous best, and I knew that I'd messed up the last corner on my previous best lap. So I thought all I've got to do is come into here and sort of take it easy and not mess it up, and I'll come out of the last corner, gain a bit more time, and I should do a really good lap. And I think because I sort of half changed my approach, I just messed it all up, and I knew I was gone from the moment I put my foot on the brake. And I was kind of wobbling the whole way in there, just trying to minimise how far off the road I would go. And I sort of had a bit of a hope I could stay in front still, but it just didn't quite work out. And Neil's yelling at me, stay off. And I'm just trying to not spin out and get back on the road. But we got there in the end. It's not too bad.
Yeah, for whatever consolation it's worth, you did wind up still on the podium, and it was your teammate that wound up with a race win. That makes it 2 in a row for him here at the Indy Road Course. Still a great points day for your team and for you as a driver, and we're coming up on another road course, Watkins Glen, next week, so I think that should be pretty fun for you guys as well. Speaking of Watkins Glen, what's the plan going forward to that?
I don't know, you just kind of roll up, do the best you can. I mean, it's as far as like the road courses go at the moment, I suppose for anyone who's got a win, the road courses probably don't mean all that much. I mean, the only road course that really matters now for anyone who's got a win or is at least in the points in the playoffs is Roval. So, I mean, we'll roll up, we'll cruise around and see what happens. But, I mean, maybe a bit of redemption would be nice. Not flying off the road would be good.
Yeah, it's always a bonus. Now, I do want to ask you, you've been a part of this league for a while now, and you've ran numerous road courses, so you kind of got a feel for this system we have in place for cautions, where it kind of accumulates incident points for the entire field, and then once it hits an arbitrary number, caution comes out. Obviously, it's a little bit different from real life NASCAR and from how pretty much any other road course series would work. What is your opinion on that system versus just trying to keep it green?
I think it's good. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any sort of variation to the races. It'd just be the same old green flag from them get go to woe. So I think it's good. It mixes it up a little bit. You never know when the yellow is going to come out. It does kind of force you to play a particular strategy, and I think everyone's pretty much onto it. Everyone's doing the same thing. But it can catch you out with scenarios like we had at the end of the race there with a late green-white checker that you kind of you wouldn't normally account for. I mean, we were talking about it when we had the first yellow in the race. What are the chances of one coming out? And you would think it would be pretty low. I think we all agreed it was possible, but it would be low. But, it came out anyway. So, you got to be careful of those things. But I think overall it's a good system.
All right. Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for your opinions. And hopefully we're talking to you next week.
All right. Cheers, guys.
I probably wouldn't be so keen on saying, it's a great system.
I was just going to say that.
Frustrated.
Yeah, he's a sportsman. He can see the big picture there, but good.
Oh yeah, that was huge sportsmanship there. Because I'd probably be a little frustrated. But anyhow, Jeffrey, I'm going to hand you over with our final step on the podium, Patrick Gitter.
Hey Pat, it's Jeff up in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. Gotcha.
Well, we saw you start up there in the top 5. You kind of ran up there most of the race, played some different strategy on pit cycles, staying a little bit longer than the top couple of guys. Restarts there at the end kind of shook things up. You were able to get through them pretty safe and then had a shot at the end. What do you think you needed to get past the last 2 Aussies there to make the victory tonight?
Well, I mean, I definitely didn't have anything for Dyson. I mean, he ran like a perfect race pretty much until the last lap. And then Neil, I mean, he and I were so even all race. I mean, I had a gap on him. He closed it that second stage, and then he and I were like within 2 seconds of each other. I felt like the rest of the race. And I think I just made a few more mistakes. And Neil and Andrew have always been fast road guys, so I was honestly happy to just be able to stick with them tonight.
Right, and that's something I think a lot of these guys in the field would say, that those two coming into these races are pretty much favorites, I would say. We go next week to another road course, Watkins Glen, a place that I think a lot of these guys know a little bit more. You probably know a little bit more yourself as well. Leading the show tonight for Team Conti, do you think you guys are going to have a good chance at winning next week, or you think it's going to be another show that we saw tonight?
I think we always got a shot, man. I think it just depends on the track and who's behind the wheel and how much seat time people put in. I always say anything's possible, so definitely wouldn't count us out. I think we've got a shot. Matt, I mean, he was right behind me there at the finish. He's probably a better road racer than I am, and it's just, I think if he ran this again, he finishes in front of me, and he's a good bit faster. So. I definitely think we'll have good showing, and I know we've been fast there in the past, so I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Okay. Now, last question I got is something we talked about on the broadcast after the first restart was, did you feel like the tires ever gave up tonight? I know we saw that caution come out, then some of you guys ran your best laps, and then it kind of cut back about a second. So was there any really fall off, and did you take tires at any point of the race?
No, I don't think really anybody took tires from what I could see. I know I didn't see anybody else did. It seems like with this road course tire package, I mean, it's just you use your tires up as much as you can. Seems to be a little bit quicker, honestly, as they wear. So I think for us it seemed like that, and it looked like for everybody else in the field, it's kind of a similar deal.
Okay, then that sounds good. Congratulations on your third place finish and solid run tonight, and we look forward to seeing you out next week at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, thanks guys. I'll give a shout out real quick. I just want to thank the guys at EPI and Team Conti for their awesome car this week. Couldn't have been up here up front without them and their coaching. Shout out to C12 Design Shop for the paint ran tonight, and then also Martin PC. Check out them for any PC or custom build needs, and as always, thank you guys in the booth for the broadcast.
Sounds good. There's your third place finish, Pat Getter, leader in the Rookie of the Year points as well. Another solid run for him, and overall I think we saw a pretty clean race tonight. Not a lot of mistakes, but in the end it was one slight mistake that ended up deciding who the winner was.
Yeah, you can never. This race proves that the race is never over till the fat lady sings, and that is when Barty waves the flag, because we thought we knew what was going to happen, and then we all got caught on our feet. Well, caught surprised, and we'll see what happens at another road course next week. I'll be the one producing it. Another PTR TV production next week. Corey, Andre, and I think Cody next week. Andre, any final thoughts before we sign off?
Well, I'm still trying to process everything we just saw, because that is probably the most I think we've seen a race get turned on its head so abruptly. You know, the race was kind of formulaic. Everything was going the way we thought it was going to go all night long, and then suddenly, 3 minutes left in the race, everything changes. It was pretty mind-blowing, quite frankly, but I'm definitely looking forward to some more road course racing next week. Watkins Glen is my favorite track on the circuit, has been for a very long time, so I am really excited to see what the boys can do there. I think we're going to get a good turnout, pretty full field. I know a lot of drivers in the field love Watkins Glen as much as I do, so it's going to be fun, and we will see y'all there.
All right, indeed we will. That is Corey, Jeff, and Andre signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.